Yes, everybody, and welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from PercysGrowRoom.com. I am Mackie from the UK, and joining us this week, we have TG.
Hi, TG here from Treaty 6 Territory, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Just loading up some dabbage here and feeling pretty good because I smoked a huge joint just a minute ago, too. So,
Nice.
you guys are all doing well and
Good.
as good as me.
Sweet, man. And we also have
Yeah.
Bubble Hawk. What are you saying, Bubble?
G'day guys, Bubble Hog here, your local degenerate drop bear from the land down under. Yeah, I'm going pretty well. I'm just about to hit some of this rosin I was just talking about actually.
Nice.
So
You all got some nice extracts to be smoking today. That's good to hear.
yeah,
Nice.
boy.
Yes, and we also have Monkey Do. What are you saying, Monkey?
No, not much, man. Monkey down here in this nice, warm, sunny southeast US today. No extracts. I just got flour today.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm just hitting the usual lemon tree in a pipe here.
Got some Acapulco Gold I think I could use today, so we'll go ahead and go with that. Why not?
Yes, but no Marge yet. I'm hoping she'll jump in the next few minutes or so, but she hasn't arrived yet. She did put news in the show notes, so we are expecting her. Maybe she's just trying to load up a PC or something, or she's a little bit late from the shop or something. So hopefully she'll join us within the next 10 minutes or so.
Play it by ear.
Yeah, that's right. So we got lots of people in the chat there. What are we talking about today? We got lots of news articles. We had one sent in by Savans, which we'll be covering, and if Marge shows up as well, we should have 6 news articles to be covering this week. So lots to go on. And then for the Grow Guide section, we're going to be talking about the history of cannabis. Just a brief history, because you know it's a long ass history, man. We'll be here for hours and hours talking about the history of cannabis if we covered all of it.
There's at least 2
You breaking up there, TG?
podcasts I know that specifically focus on the history. Yeah, so
Yeah. Like well, you did for a couple of seconds, but it's all good. Yeah, like what was it? The history of weed podcast. What's the name of them guys? They've been on the show. What is it?
check. Oh, what? Oh, Chad's?
Oh, great moments in weed history.
That's the one. Yeah.
Oh, 3. That's I wasn't even thinking of that one, but there's history is a huge subject, man. Like, and it depends what facet you're gonna look at. Like, just the history of the plant itself and going way back in history to the Scythians kind of thing, or the history of strains and like the clandestine nature of that aspect of things. Like, it's really fascinating shit. But yeah, we'll dip the proverbial toes, I think, right?
Yeah, man. Yes, just a brief history. That's why I put brief in there, just to try and keep it brief. And then it's an excuse then for us not to go too deep on things.
I thought it was a play on brief history of time.
Yeah, I thought that when I wrote the title as well, but it's not. It's just
Well, it just so happens we had an interview last week with a gentleman who was writing about it, some of the histories of cannabis. So this is timely topic we're talking about. He was writing about the histories of African cannabis, but that is definitely cannabis.
Yeah, it was interesting shit as well, man. But dropped a few bits of knowledge there that I wasn't aware of. It was very good.
Same here, man.
So and that's one of the interviews that will be released in the near future. We've got a list of like really good interviews that need to be sent out to you all right now. We got that one with Chris Duval, which Monkey just briefly mentioned there. We have one with Marco and Brian as well from the Future Cannabis Project, and they was on a couple of weeks ago, and still haven't got that interview out because we've got other ones to send out. It's like got a nice list. We had Dr. Peter Grinspoon on the show the other day, so we had an interview with him which needs to go out. So lots and lots of good content coming your way, everybody.
Learned some things from Dr. Grinspoon too that I wasn't aware of. So every time we get in one of these interviews, we find more information.
It's like by now I think I should know quite a lot about cannabis, but I don't feel as if I do.
No, because we're talking about people that know so much more about it.
Yeah, it's like straight over your head. Whoosh. Right, what did he say? It was something about weed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But good shit, man. Lots of good interviews coming up, everybody. And of course, if you're a Patreon, then you can go and see those interviews now over on the YouTube channel, man. The links are up in the Patreon page. And if you're YouTube members, you'll be able to see the posts there as well. So you'll be able to go back and watch all these old interviews we've done. Well, not even old, just not released yet. Big shout out to Mephisto as well. The Mephisto interview went out this week, and they shared it on their Reddit, and everybody fucking loved it. And we beat a couple of our records for the amount of downloads we've had in a single day. What was it, 2,500 or something we hit in one day?
something like that. It was
Yeah.
in really good numbers for us.
Mm-hmm. I mean, our previous record to that was like 1,608. So he's pretty
Yeah.
smashed it there. That's
Probably took us month to get that many downloads the first month we were running, you know. So yeah.
yeah, for the first month we got like 100 downloads or something. It was
Exactly.
it was ridiculous, man. It was ridiculous.
We're getting way more than that per hour. You know, it was crazy when we reached Mephisto. It was nuts.
We got 10,000 downloads just this week. So OTG's like that. Oh no.
Yeah, he was just saying it was going all a bit fucky. I think with the term he used, my internet's going fucky. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
He's gonna restart.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to get a little bit high then and wait for TG to come back and wait for Marge too, because Marge isn't here yet either. Oh my gosh. My gosh.
The team's not all here today. That's crazy. We're
Yeah.
usually all ready and on time.
That's
Hey,
right.
God damn it! I got up early for you lot. All right.
Yeah,
Hey, I didn't
thanks,
ask you
Bubble.
to.
Thanks for being here, bro.
Get your shit together, people.
Mhm.
Damn, it sounds like my wife now, you know?
Oh, don't say that.
Right, so we'll give a quick shout out to everybody who has joined us so far. We have Twisted, Unsure, Turpopotamus, Mad Dog, Galandil, Firetop, South Silly, Filmy Bowls, Backblast, John Finnegan, Woody, The Gingerbread Boy, James, SG2, Billy Bonds, Gellert, Stutty, Jinx, Shadowkin, Savant is here. There's Galandil, but on a different name. Green Slayer. What's that? Laszlo? What's up, Laszlo? Who else do we have? Vin. See Vin there in the chat. Good day, Mackie Monkey TG. Where's Marge? Yeah, we don't know where Marge is. I know, it's terrible. So
It's a conspiracy.
we'll just
Missing-
sit here in silence for a little bit and just wait for
Yeah.
Marge to come and join us.
Hey, Marge. Okay, let's wait for her to answer now. Hey, Marge.
Marge, hello. Hello,
Marge,
Marge.
Marge,
Showtime, Marge. No,
Marge, you there? Nobody's home.
Yeah, she'll be here soon, I'm sure. And also, we have nobody got in touch with me about the HLG 100 light, which was won last week. So we're gonna do a spin. Well, we'll do a snail race later on during the break. We'll just do a 1 minute snail race. It's already set up.
Ooh.
All the Patreons and the YouTube members are all on the list, and so it's already set up, so everybody can. We'll just get straight in on them, press go, and watch snails race for a minute or so. Yes.
A bonus prize win today. Yes, nice. You never know what we're going to find on High on Homegrown.
You actually spelled nice my name. It is Leslie in English. Did I say it right? Like Laszlo? I assume I said it okay. Because Laszlo was one of the radio guys on GTA, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I know that name. It rings a bell. I know. I almost really butcher names if people are bringing up in chat like that. You know, reading
Yeah.
these articles and trying to read out people's names. Like shit, I haven't heard this
know.
word before. Never seen it before. Just sound it out. You know. Good shit. South Silly's
Yeah.
here. What's up, South Silly? And Firetop's there. 5-1 Bait. That's a new name. What's up? Yeah. What we all smoking on, man? What are you smoking on, Monkey? You got something nice?
I said Acapulco Gold today.
Nice.
It's a bit strong, so I have to go very slowly on her, or I will not be reading my news story today.
Classic. Classic.
Yes, good stuff, man.
Nice. What are you saying, Bubble? What are you smoking on?
Blackjack, my friend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I did that harvest, so I've got that blackjack rosin, and it's buttered up so nice. For like literally now, we're probably a little over 24 hours since I pressed that, and it's just buttered up perfectly, nice and crumbly. Just as soon as you open the little container, the whole room stinks. I'm loving it.
Nice. There's Outlawed Pagan. I didn't see you there. What's up, bro? Spencer's just arrived as well. Billy's smoking on the lemon tree. How's it going for you, Billy? Is it good shit? There's Hillbilly Herb as well. What else we got? Black Blaster's got some Blue Dream. It's not that good.
You know what? It's better than nothing.
Indeed. So, yeah, Billy's got loads of hash that he's been smoking. Dosey Do from SG2. Nice. Gingerbread Boy has got some scissor hash from his OG. Very nice. Billy says yes, it's good shit. Yeah. Lemon tree is delicious, man. Fine homegrown is top notch. Faint manifestation. What's up, man? Oh, that's got to be Galantil, isn't it? Going on about faint manifestations.
How many accounts has he got?
He doesn't. He just changes his name, is all he's doing.
Just cycling through accounts.
There's Zictex as well. What's up, Zictex? Anybody else?
Chocolate skunk blunts. Stooty, you bad man. Oh, I want some of that.
Geller said Blue Dream is better than no dream. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Very true. Very true. Hey, Pip Jam, what's up, Pip Jam? Hope you're good, bro. Yeah, so what else is going on this week? We've got lots going on this week. We're just waiting for Marge and TG to join, or just either one of them. You know?
I think that the internet in Canada must have gone down. That's
Yo,
the
maybe
entire
that's what it
Canada
is,
internet,
man.
The entire
Damn.
Canadian internet shut down. Bam.
Damn, it's a possibility, you know.
You know, I need to stop saying that though, because somebody's going to take me serious.
It's 2023 and shit, you know. That shit could happen. There's Firefly. What's up, Firefly? Since they've finally cut some wires
they're
on the
like-
ground.
They're like, because Tej is like right in the middle of Canada, and Marge is on the other coast, isn't she? Out towards the
Kind of
coast and-
sort of toward the center.
Oh,
Not all
shit,
the way to the
okay.
coast. Yeah, she's Ontario. That's not the
Ontario.
extreme
Okay,
east one.
yeah.
Just had Dougaloo show up as well, and 5-1 Baked said Spice Melange by Night Owl
Spice
over here. Is
Melange.
that strange? Is it the Spice Melange?
Did you see Night Owls popped up a new strain, the Mandalore?
No, I haven't
Did you
seen
see
it.
that? Yeah,
No.
so they've apparently chucked up a new one, and they were just waiting for Disney to come and slap some lawsuits on them
Oof.
because Night Owl's one of the factions of the Mandalorians.
Right.
So they're but yeah, they've used the actual Mandalore Night Owl picture and everything and chucked it up on their Instagram. And everyone's like, "Ooh," and everyone in the chat's like, "This is the way," and it's just like literally 100 odd comments of "This is the way." Oh, I thought
Wow.
it was funny.
It's just, it doesn't look like TG and March are coming. Similar, but we got Hillbilly Herb in the chat who just says, "Can confirm that Ontario internet is working." So
There we go. So that's
funny.
pretty much saying that it's working, but Marge doesn't want to talk to us. Oh
Yeah,
man, now
Dear
my feelings
me.
are hurt.
did we say something in the show notes that was potentially offensive? We better check, because you know what we're like. You know, it's that bubble hawk again.
That's one thing about Marge. If we said
Man.
something, she would let us know.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
her new story was going to be about Ben and Jerry's, man, and you know they're pretty powerful. You know, they knew it was
Man.
happening. Vanguard has come out and been like, "You have to do something about this woman." Now they've gone and arrested her. She's all locked up and shit because she was going to speak out about Ben and Jerry's. What do you think? Is the conspiracy theory viable?
It's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible.
As I said, it's 2023. It's possible.
So yeah, the American company Ben and Jerry's used their influence in Canada to have Marge arrested. Boy, what have you been smoking, Mackie?
Free Marge, yeah. Hashtag free Marge, everybody.
T-shirts coming soon. Free Marge.
Free Marge. Yeah, so
Funny.
anyway, what we'll
That's-
do for now, we'll just go on to the news anyway, and hopefully they'll jump in at some point and be like, I'm going to restart here quickly. That was TG earlier, okay. Yeah, and maybe they'll just like slide in, nobody will even know. You know what I'm saying?
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, Old Fashioned Coffee Party's also in, and they said that the internet is working for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just TG and Marge.
Be fine. They'll slide in like a slippery gecko.
That's
They'll be
right. That's right.
Well,
So are you ready
you
to
know
move
what
on
this
to
reminds-
news?
You know,
Sorry,
it
Monkey.
reminds me of Canada on strike.
right.
We want some more money.
Sweet. Well, let's get on with the news then. Are you all ready? We got plenty to cover.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Sweet.
So here we are for this week's cannabis news and events. We've got quite a few stories to be going through today. We have one sent in by one of our listeners, Savans, as well. I hope he's out there in the chat. Shout out to him if he is. But that one kind of ties into the news story about Monkey also has. So I think we'll cover both of those first. You want to do that, Monkey?
Let's start there then. This actually came from, there were three different members of Percy's that were sending me updates on this when Mackie was in the loop with the Savon's one. So all three members were anxious for me to go ahead and go through this. So let's get going here. Minnesota Senate votes 34 to 33 to legalize recreational cannabis. Now, this is a major turnaround because Minnesota traditionally has been Republican dominated in their government, and the Republicans in Minnesota had refused up to this point to do anything about it. But because of the last election, things turned, and so things are different in Minnesota today. So let's take a look at this. The Minnesota Senate voted along party lines Friday afternoon to legalize recreational cannabis for adults 21 and older. The bill, which passed 34 to 33, is very similar to one that the House passed earlier in the week, but with some slight differences. The Senate's version includes a 10% tax on cannabis products, 2% higher than was passed in the House. The bill also allows people to have up to 5 pounds of cannabis in their house, as opposed to the 1.5 pound limit from the House. I like the 5 pound limit better personally. I know all home growers would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Local governments would be allowed to limit the number of cannabis businesses under the Senate plan, and the House plan doesn't have a cap. Now, I actually like the idea of allowing local municipalities to decide how many businesses they want there. You know, I think that's local control is important in my opinion. Expungements would go into effect in 2025 under the Senate bill, which is much later than the House's version, which is effective in August. So they both versions of this bill have some expungement of previous cannabis arrests and convictions in mind, but just slightly different things going on here. Debates began Friday in the Senate. The main thing some Republican senators stressed is their worry over public health and public safety. They feel the bill is premature. Now, we've heard this before, haven't we? GOP senators Mark Johnson and Carla Nielsen held a press conference that lasted about a half an hour. They said that they worry that passing the cannabis bill at the state levels takes control away from local leaders about how they want to regulate cannabis sales. Now, you guys remember I just up there earlier said that they're still going to allow these local municipalities to have control of where and how many businesses they put in. So I don't understand where the GOP senators are actually coming from with that statement, but they're allowed to make any statement they want, true or false. Another issue they foresee is putting more pressure on police when it comes to ensuring public safety, especially when it comes to people potentially driving under the influence of cannabis. Our law enforcement is against the bill. There are just too many questions about it. If we can ensure public safety, number one, we have to have a reliable road test. This is what the police said. Now, we've talked about this before, and I saw something very interesting in the Twitter feed about this whole article here. And somebody says, "You're worried about people driving impaired? It's already happening." I'm sorry, but you know, yeah, it's just thing is the people who are against these situations think that it's worse than it really is. I believe that they think that driving under the influence of cannabis is like drunk driving, and we all know it's a completely different story.
Okay, yeah, fucking hell.
Yeah.
You can barely walk when you're drunk now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My fucking drive, shit.
Drive, read a map, think, chew gum. You can't, I mean, when you're drunk, it's all of that's hard. Cannabis, not nearly as
Yeah.
impaired.
Typical American, you know, shoot guns was on that list. I heard it, you know.
Actually said chew gum, not shoot guns,
is that what it was? Okay. Yeah.
Typical Englishman hearing something he shouldn't.
We're gonna have everybody reversing. Just go check now. Did you say shoot guns or chew gum?
Well, yeah, I do know a few places where that are labeled, you know, beer, fireworks, guns and ammunition, all in the same store. So in the Deep South, it's not unheard of. So yeah, let's just leave it at that and say enough is enough there. They're also worried that increases in cannabis use would lead to more substance abuse. Again, they're thinking the gateway drug. Oh yeah, we've heard this before, right? And local governments wouldn't have any control when it comes to regulating cannabis sales. The reality is the implications of this particular bill that's up today on the Senate floor are very dire for the state of Minnesota, and it's not a joking matter, said Johnson. The bill is simply not ready. This is all from the GOP, okay? Supporters of the bill say that those concerns are being addressed. It's had an enormous amount of public input and public vetting. We know the issues about public safety. We know the issues about public health. To the extent that we can address those issues and funding into local communities, funding into public health, and we are doing that. So basically, this bill is going to take the tax monies and it's going to put it back into the community to handle any issues that comes up. So it's all good here. Eventually, this bill was passed, but I can go ahead and read it word for word. I don't know if it's really worth it, because a lot of this stuff is going to be more what you hear, what I just read. It's where the Republicans say this is bullshit, we're not ready for it, but it's everybody else says this is what the public really wants and it's time to make it happen. Okay. So anyway, now that the Senate has passed its version of bills, members from both House and Senate will have to get together and work out their differences and find a final version before it heads to the governor's desk. The governor, Tim Walz, says he intends to sign the bill once it gets there. If signed into the law, Minnesota would become the 23rd state to legalize cannabis. So all that's got to happen now is you've got to get a committee to go back from the House and a committee to go back to the Senate, and they have to find a medium between the two. So,
and it looks like it's gonna happen as well. And with that amount of votes, 44 out to 33. Oh right, so that's like 34 on one side and 33 on the other, not 33 out of 34. No, I thought it was the other way.
It's a thin majority, but that's the way it has to happen. See, if they have a simple majority in the House and a simple majority in the Senate, now they can move it on to the governor, who is also willing to go ahead and go along with this, and it will pass. So even though it's a very razor thin margin, they don't have any fears here. The only problem is you have to agree on, unfortunately, things like tax rates and those kind of things. Right. You have to have a single number when it goes to the governor so that everything is fine. But with the speed that these two bills went through this week, I'm going to bet that probably by the end of May, there will be a bill signed out there legalizing recreational cannabis. I am not a reporter. I am not in politics. I have nothing other than an opinion saying that it probably would work.
You heard it here first. Monkey said it was going to happen.
Yeah. So by about 6 weeks, you're going to have your weed, everybody. All right.
If not, Monkey's got to give it. No, May, it's not happening. That's not happening. No, but actually the people that have been contacting me through Percy's were under the same opinion that this is pretty much the way that they see it. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of getting the final details.
Nice. That's good shit, man.
It would be great, man. Look, this is 23. We're only 2 more from having half the states legal. We've already got more than half the population having access to recreational cannabis. We don't have the physical numbers of states yet.
So when this does pass and people can get their cannabis, I hear that they roll really fucking big joints in Minnesota.
According to the Republicans, yes. So that's story number 2. And the reason I didn't want to get too far in the weeds about what the Republicans was saying, it was because this right here.
What was they saying, Monkey?
Minnesota Republicans' wild 3 joints claim gets Twitter users high off of laughter. Now, that title doesn't say much, but anyway, listen to this. A Republican lawmaker in Minnesota argued that 2 ounces of marijuana is the equivalent of 3 joints.
Fuck yeah.
Boom. Mic drop right there. Bam. During the remarks during the Minnesota Senate voted on Friday. Now, the thing is, what everybody's saying about this is, how can this guy even vote on cannabis if he doesn't understand it at all?
That's the problem with so many of these people. They have no fucking idea what's going on. And they come and make up these rules as if they know what the fuck they're talking about. And they never do. I mean, we all just get fucking left with these stupid rules that were made up by dumbass motherfuckers. I mean, I've heard some stupid rules since, doing this show. And we've heard so many different rules, man.
Well, I mean, it's not too hard to do a simple bit of research and find that the statistics are the average joint that is rolled contains 1/3 of a gram of cannabis.
A third of a gram?
Yeah. Hold on.
That's the average? No, I'm skeptical for that claim. God damn.
Pinners, you guys, come on, what the hell?
You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, seriously, I mean, even in dispensaries, though, what 1 gram joint is a big boy, right?
Right.
Yeah, TG says he does a 0.8, man. I mean,
I just averaged them out one day because I was genuinely curious, how much because I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
But I was at a friend's house the other night rolling joints and passing them around to everyone, and more than once they're like, "Oh, here comes the cannons." And I was like, you
That's a
know,
home grower there. Yeah. for
it's
sure.
like, well, they're not. They're only like maybe a gram at the most, right? Just like you said. But to people, that's huge. So
Yeah.
0.3 makes sense, but
I see
we
when
are.
I go to walk the dogs, if I rolled a joint like twice in the last year to take for a dog walk, because it mashes me up, man. But I'd roll like it's gotta be 0.8 to a gram. It's a fat joint because I roll them like I used to smoke back in the day, and I take about 3 pulls on one of these, and I'm fucked, man. I can barely see because my eyes are gone all puffed up so much. God, I'm stoned up, can't even throw a ball straight for the dog. So where did it go? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, but you got to realize this, according to this guy in Minnesota, you got to put 18 grams in that joint, man. 18
Maybe that's what I'm
grams.
doing, and I just don't realize it. Yeah, that's
What kind of
crazy.
paper
I'm
you-
going to stay quiet because it feels like a full Breaking Bad scene when I start rolling, kind of adding keef, a little bit of rosin, fucking anything I can just to give it that extra kick.
You got that music playing in the background,
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a good point though. That's what happened here in Canada. All the rules were made by people who don't use. Maybe they smoked a joint once in college or something, right?
But they didn't inhale.
Yeah, probably not. Of course not.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Well,
these people don't it's just like women's issues, right? All these abortion stuff and women's reproductive rights are all judged and put into fucking law by men who, how the fuck can they know about any of that shit? So same thing with weed, stupid people doing stupid shit. But
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and he's supposed to be paid a lawmaker that knows what he's doing. So you think he could spend maybe 30 minutes on the internet and doing a little bit of research to at least
Yeah.
find out how much is in a real joint?
Well, just
But wait a minute, guys.
why
He
not
gets a li-
ask
we can
us?
keep
that's
going
what
in
I'm
the
saying, TG.
Let's go a little further, guys. Can we?
Well, in that position of power, when you're in a position of authority like that, you should have access to fucking experts that you contact and be like, yo, I need to make this decision. You seem to
Yeah.
know what you're talking about with this kind of thing. What can I do here? And they'll be like, you should just say legalize it and stop being a bunch of cunts. It's like, okay, no problem. We'll get that. And then off they go and do their work like they were supposed to. But it never ends up that way.
Well, this guy's claiming, he says, now I've seen some videos of DEA raids, and some of these plants can reach 8 and 10 feet tall. You can have and you can have 8 of them in your yard. You can use them like a privacy fence.
Probably saw a lot of dogs getting shot too then. Fucking
Fucking hell, man. Use it as a privacy fence, No one's going to steal your privacy fence.
Not gonna lie, I would grow them as a privacy fence.
Oh,
if
for
I
sure,
fucking
for
could.
sure. I'll get a scrog on that shit,
Well, I mean,
Just
come on.
12-foot equatorial sativas all along the fence line.
Well, this was so much fun. I actually had to go into Twitter and actually see some of the better troll jokes there. So I wrote a few of them down. One user wrote, "We need a joint committee to investigate this."
Joint committee.
Another guy says, those are huge doobies, but I'll do it for science.
Yeah.
And this
Take
is
one
best
for the team,
I did like this one. Hey, do you want to come to my house? Jump over the jump over the how did he put it here? Jump over the side screen and come get wasted at my house.
Man, do you remember that shit back in the day when you were kids? You probably remember it. You're of that generation. Remember hedge hopping? Where you just like run through as many gardens as you can, hopping over each hedge and see how many hedges you can get to before you either got caught or fell over. Remember hedge hopping, everybody? Imagine that. But it was African sativa.
Really?
That would be so
Imagine how
cool.
sticky you'd be
Yeah,
by the
no,
end.
god damn.
Just walking home, stinking high as hell.
Serious, Charis making then, hey? Charis under your ball sack and everything.
That's the real way to make charas, man. Just run through the field with no clothes on.
Yeah. Just rake your arm across the privacy fence and get Charis, no problem.
Run a mile across this field. Go. It's like that Save 'em Half Baked, man. You ever run through a cornfield backwards with no clothes on?
Yeah.
Knowing Kenny's in prison. Shit, that cracks me up, man. Oh. Tommy Chong in that movie is Squirrel Master. Random tangents.
I'm
Gosh.
telling you.
Yeah,
Big joints though. Big joints.
Oh, yeah, massive joints. Massive joints.
Yeah. No, officer, that's not a joint, that's my burrito, Hello.
You know what I'm saying? Shit. You're very right, man. It's my baguette, officer.
No, sir, that's not mine. That belongs to Snoop Dogg, you know?
Shit.
Snickle, you know, he's got to put all that in there to actually get a buzz. But
But yeah,
The
I
girl
wonder
thing
where
is
the
good.
fuck they get that number from. Well, it's just going to be the one guy chatting shit, and surely he just said the wrong numbers accidentally.
maybe somebody
Surely.
trolled him.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
maybe he got sent there with that information.
Yeah.
Maybe he
that's
did ask the
probably it.
expert, and the expert just
say
fucked with him.
Say this in public, man. Do it.
Yeah, that's the only person that he thought might know something about cannabis, but absolutely knew nothing is what it was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to use that much weed in a joint, right?
Hey, what's the bet his experts like a 10-year-old at the local fucking, you know? Like, how much weed goes in a joint? Oh, man, like at least an ounce.
He's that guy out of in betweeners, isn't it? You know, that guy out of in betweeners. He just bullshits about everything. Like, how much you put in a split? He's like, about 18 grams, bro. You know, that's just my morning spliff. You know what I'm saying? Fuck's sake. Yeah. So that guy's full of shit.
Yeah, by all means, lawmakers, before you get up there and start talking about cannabis, do some real research. Talk to some actual people who use it, you know?
Get a consensus.
Yeah. There's lots of us out there, and we're all very happy to, you know, talk. And not everybody is the, you know, your stereotype of a fucking, you know, the movie stoners that don't know shit. Look at us right now. You could come on our show, and we'd be happy to educate, right?
That's right, man. Just ask.
I'll answer the questions, no problem, man.
But maybe like could have gone about this for fucking ages. But you know, I need to find a cannabis expert. Who can I call? Oh, Tommy Chung. Oh, Tommy Chung, how much you put in your joints, bro? But you know, he's still not gonna put that much in. We've seen his joints; they're definitely not 18 grams. But, goddamn.
I think the person that I know that rolls the biggest joints consistently was Swami.
Yeah,
that's
Swami.
only an eighth.
Yeah, that's
He rolls an
3.5.
eighth.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3, and that's a huge joint in my opinion. You know?
Looking at 5 times that. Crazy.
Really.
Anyway,
That's a Republican-sized joint. That's it. That's a Republican-sized joint.
That's a whole pack of papers to make that shit.
yeah, man. So what we covered next? TG, do you want to do your news next, mate?
Yeah, I better before this fucking E Street live resin is like, you know, Monkey was talking about impairment. And I agree. Most weed that people come across is, you know, for your average stoner, like, you know, I feel very comfortable, I'll say, driving most of the time. This stuff, though, no.
Yeah.
It's different, very different, very, very psychedelic almost, you know, like on that Neville's Haze, Malawi.
Nice.
Yeah, very rare. But when I got it, Mike warned me. He's like, you know, this is different. And it is. It's very different. So bravo, ganja wise.
Nice,
anyway,
very good.
So it's good that we do my shit early because I'm gonna hit another dab right away here. But, yeah, no, I thought this was really interesting, and yeah, it's something else to worry about, I guess. Mostly for, I would say, the hydro types, without some microbial defenses in place. But UBC researcher, UBC is the University of British Columbia. So UBC researcher identifies new kind of root rot affecting cannabis plants.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So not really awesome, but in a facetious kind of way. Researchers at UBC Okanagan have recently identified a new type of disease affecting the roots of cannabis plants. The paper, published in early 2023, is the first to report on the fungal plant pathogen Berkeleyomyces ruxiae, commonly known as black root rot, infecting non-hemp cannabis plants.
What?
So I don't know why they say non-hemp cannabis. It's just weed, you know. Hemp.
Yeah, strange.
It's a stupid differentiation, but anyway, because hemp is, it's just drug type is what they mean. Drug type cannabis plants here.
Yeah.
So the stuff we like. Yeah. The plants, which have been displaying root discoloration and rot symptoms, did not test positive for any of the usually associated pathogens. This led Delaney Braystone, an employee at the production facility, to reach out to a former grad school classmate, Chris Dumigan, sorry if I mispronounced that, now a plant microbiologist and PhD candidate at UBC Okanagan, for help. Dumigan says the problem, resembling a black sludge, had spread through much of the facility and had caused crop loss and even equipment loss. While it resembled other forms of root rot like Fusarium that is often associated with indoor cannabis crops, he says this was obviously not the case. When conventional methods of reproducing and proving the origins of the pathogen didn't work, Debunking ended up making a medium out of blended carrots from his kitchen, successfully reproducing the same fungal rot overnight. He then sequenced the genome of the pathogen and re-inoculated several cannabis plants again to confirm he had the right suspect. Interestingly, through this inoculation process, he said he and Braystone noticed some cultivars were more or less resistant to the pathogen, something he would like to see a further investigation. That's very cool. Once identified, he was then enabled to begin looking at how to treat the issue. Commercial cannabis growers in Canada are limited to a list of approved pest and disease control methods, and the usual treatments for similar diseases weren't working. Instead, Debunking began investigating new, novel ways to treat it with biological controls. He found several species of bacteria that live within the roots and secrete compounds that can kill certain fungi. That's the rhizophagy. That's Jeff Lowenfeld's new book. Fuck yeah, that is so cool that happened right now too. Anyway, fucking nerd. As part of Dubington's thesis, he has a library of hundreds of bacterial and fungal endophytes that have been isolated from different hemp and other cannabis cultivars that aid in plant health, something he hopes to develop further and publish in the future. So yeah, that I hope the fucking shit he does that too, because I'm gonna read the shit out of those papers. He and Mike De Holos, head of biology at UBCO, also released the genome sequences of the black sludge to help other growers and researchers better identify it, ideally much earlier. So crowdfunding that shit, that's cool. The idea behind making the sequence-based diagnostic is to be able to detect it based on wastewater from a hydroponic facility or an aeroponic facility, and then you test it and monitor pathogen levels. You could be able to detect it before it becomes a real problem. The issue is that this is a pathogen that many in the industry haven't yet been looking for, causing people to use inaccurate treatments because they are assuming it's something they're familiar with, like Fusarium. They couldn't detect what this was because they didn't know what this was. Didn't know, and they didn't have any. Others in Canada have likely a lot more widespread than people know, and it's just not been classified as a cannabis pathogen, so it's flown under the radar. We heard that before with hop latent viroid, right? People called it dudding for years and years, and then they finally figured out it was a virus.
You broke up for a second there, TG, and it was all glitchy.
Dropped out a couple times.
Could you just go back up to they couldn't detect that bit? Just to
he's dropped out again.
He's gone again. Hello, TG. Hello. Stay strong.
Hey.
I don't know. Check.
Yeah, there you're back now. You're back.
I don't know what's going on today. That's weird.
It just it was working fine for a while. Yeah, we was at they couldn't detect what this was because that's where you were.
Oh, yeah. Basically, they didn't know what it was because they didn't have the test for it because they didn't know to test for it, essentially. And the last bit is it's probably a lot more widespread because they haven't been testing for it. So.
Oh, lame.
And I made the point of we've seen this before with hops latent viroid. They called it dudding for years before they figured out it was a viroid that was fucking everything up, right? Now we know it is HLVD. So I don't know. I, as a soil grower, I'm a bit thankful for my microbes here, but it's something to watch out for, I guess, if you're a hydro grower and you get some weird shit going on. Maybe it's more applicable to commercial facilities. I'm not too sure. Because I've never heard it like a lot of our friends grow hydro and they've never mentioned this specific thing, right?
But it seems as if it's only in one place as well right now. They've only identified it in theirs. Surely they would have found it in other places before they go declaring about there's a new virus out there or something, right?
Well, I guess the fact that it wasn't in the database and this is something that they identified to be able to affect cannabis plants, and it was like the thing that was fucking up this one facility's thing. And it's probably elsewhere, and other companies are probably treating it like he said for Fusarium or something else, but it's not really that. It's this new thing,
right?
But I don't know. It's I don't know, probably more applicable, like I say, to industrial type facilities. But it just goes to show, cleanliness is next to godliness, like every.
Mm.
And it's
sure.
it's shitty. This is what happens when crops go large scale, right? You
Yeah.
get these crossover things. Maybe who knows where this came from, but
Damn, yeah,
yeah.
bigger population, this shit can happen, isn't it? Yeah. One of the downsides to it, I suppose. That's interesting, man.
Yeah.
I hope it don't spread. These motherfucking people who work there, they might not be like carrying out dodgy infections and shit.
We have nurseries, pretty big nurseries, and it's not really on the scale where people are buying a shitload of plants, and clones and stuff, but probably that'll come eventually. And hopefully those facilities don't, spread this disease that home growers will probably have even harder of a time dealing with, because who the fuck knows what that is. Home growers.
Yeah, not everybody's got the science degrees to be able to work out what that shit is.
Yeah.
Probably lucky that it was caught where it is. That way, at least they can do some research into it, as
Sure.
and
yeah,
still,
man. Yeah, interesting.
Develop something cool. Well, not cool, but cool in a science way. Yeah.
What else do we have?
Me.
Yeah,
I don't.
you find it most of the time. It just cracks up on the occasion, but I can edit. I can fix it in post, as they say.
Because I noticed you guys, like, your voices go all
yeah, it's probably happening now
too. But obviously, I'd say my internet connection was unstable before I reached. What the fuck?
It happens, man. It happens.
Yeah, anyway,
it'll be fine. It might catch up. We'll see what happens, isn't it?
Yeah, it's usually mine that's messed up. So I'm glad mine's good this week, at least.
Bubble, do you want to check your one next, man?
sure. Where were we? So I did have that up just there before. So this one was actually sent to me from a member over at Percy's, who was a Brewer 76. So he sent me this. He was listening to Ray Hadley in the morning, and he said he came through with a guy getting done for up in Kempsey, got done for a small grow, and the cops were going him for millions. And I've done a little bit of research into it, and it turns out that it's kind of not the case with this one. So a man accused of dealing cannabis for cryptocurrency on the dark web is granted bail. A man accused of selling drugs for cryptocurrency on the dark web has been granted bail on the New South Wales mid-north coast. Police will allege 55-year-old Matthew Robert McDonald received more than 1.4 million in cryptocurrency in exchange for drugs more than 450 times between March 2018 and April 2023.
Oh, unlucky. It's like it probably was at some point 1.4 million, but now it's about 30 quid.
Yeah.
You're going through that whole time, 2018. When did it hit its peak again? I can't remember. It might have been around then. But anyway, it is probably not worth 1.4 mil now, but you never know. You never know.
Detectives from the State Crime Command arrested Mr. McDonald in a car park in Kempsey on Thursday morning after a months-long investigation into alleged drug deals using dark web marketplaces. A home was later searched at Yarraville, near Kempsey, where police allegedly found plants and seeds, almost $4,000 in cash, and about $1,000 worth of cryptocurrency. Mr. McDonald appeared in Kempsey local court today and did not enter a plea on 8 charges, including supply prohibited drugs, cultivate prohibited plant, and deal with property proceeds of crime.
I just got to go back on that bit there. It's like they searched his home and they found cannabis plant seeds, almost $4,000 in cash, and about 1,000 worth of cryptocurrency. How did they find 1,000 worth of cryptocurrency? Because that's on the PC, essentially. They got to log into his wallet for all that. And if they logged into his wallet, then surely they'd find the 1.4 million. How have they only found 1,000 cryptocurrency? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it might be, how you can get the little crypto cases that, so like you can pull your crypto off
like a hard wallet
and store it. Like a hard wallet, something like that. I'd assume that's what they're talking about. But yeah, so he was granted conditional bail and scheduled to face court again on May 11. So, I was also reading. It's not in this specific article, but there was a few different articles. But the other one, I couldn't. If I'd shared it, you wouldn't have been able to see it because it was one of those you can pay $1 and get access for 12 months. So I was like, nope.
Yeah,
But
Mackie
anyway,
ain't gonna do that, you know.
Yeah.
Cheap Mac ain't gonna pay no dollar.
It's not about being cheap, it's the principle. Fuck these lying bastards, man. Do not get me started on how fucking shit the media is. Fuck
not
you,
gonna pay
man.
money for their
fucking
lies?
ABC, CNN, BBC, Fox, you fucking lying fuckers. Fuck them. They're not getting our money. Fuck them. You know, sorry. Yes. Anyway, you know what I'm saying though, right? They're crooked fuckers, man. Fucking expect our money. But you can sign up to this website for £1 or from The Guardian. It's like, fucking cheeky bastards. You know how much this company's worth? You're asking me for £1? You cheeky bastard.
It'd be worth £1 more if you pay your damn fee.
Yeah, sorry, Bubble. Yeah.
No, you're fine. So the other article I was reading also said that they're assuming he's bought property with some of the crypto. They can actually trace back that he bought a property with the crypto. So he'll lose that property.
Oh shit, that's unlucky, man. That's fucked up.
So yeah, there's a few, and then there was another one I had that I was going to pop up as well. It was a guy got done trafficking 126 kilos between Victoria and Queensland, so he had to hop 3 state borders to take it up there. So there's a lot of movement going on up here at the moment, down here I should say. But yeah, I mean, you know, how many times have we got to fucking say it? Like, don't sell, man. Like, if you're growing your own at home and you're in a country where it's illegal, don't fucking sell it, man. You're only going to get yourself in shit.
The worst thing you can do, the worst crime that you can commit in your country is no doubt tax evasion. They don't care about you killing people and doing shit like that. They don't care so much about that. That's not their problem. But when you fuck with their money, they're going to come for you, man. You get that tax-free income from selling fucking anything that you weren't supposed to sell. They'll come for you, man. So don't do it. No sell.
I don't know if I can't remember if it was here or if it was in one of the other countries that we'd covered, but there was a couple that got in trouble for tax evasion because they were selling oh no, that's right. It was sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
So
they were in a fire zone, their house burnt down, and then the insurance company refused to pay them out because they didn't tell the insurance company that they had a little hobby farm and was selling chicken eggs at the roadside. And the tax company, the tax department turned around and said, well, that's a business. You haven't been telling us you've been selling eggs.
Wow.
That's income. And then all of a sudden classed it as a business on the property. And because they hadn't specifically told the insurance company denied their house burnt down claim.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is what bothers me with insurance, man. Insurance is fucking theft. It's bullshit, man. They'll do anything to make sure that they don't pay. And it's one of my problems with like life insurance. You know, it's like you really want that extra stress of your loved ones going through trying to fight this insurance company for money that they rightfully should be getting. But they'll be like, oh no, you know, he smoked a cigarette a few weeks before his death, so no payout for you. You said you didn't smoke. Look, fucking, they're crooked as fuck, man. Why is everybody so crooked, man? Shit. But anyway, yeah. This kind of segues onto this article I have here for everybody, and there's no doubt that you've all heard this already. Maybe not. I don't know, but it's been pretty big in the cannabis community this week. And the title goes: Singapore hangs man for trafficking 1K of cannabis. Just a kilo, man. I've had more than that myself. You know, it's it's not cool, man. A family of, oh gosh, I'm gonna butcher this guy's name, and I really shouldn't, because you know this guy's dead now. Spoiler alert. Family. This is not funny. This is not funny, man. This is not cool. They're trying to be professional. Family of Tangaraju Supaya. I hope that was right, man. And I apologize to his family if it's not. Shit, I'm terrible at reading names. Had pleaded for clemency, saying he had not had the adequate legal counsel or interpreter.
Oh,
Definitely the wrong
butchered that
word.
as well.
It's the lemon tree.
Shit. Yeah, adequate legal counsel or interpreter. I'll fix that in post. It was good. See? Fucking hell.
Entrepreneur.
That was so bad. I'm so glad I can edit this. You guys listen to this live. You know, so if you go and listen to the edited versions of the show when I do things like this and it's gone, you'll be like, oh, he took that bit out. Shit. Fucking hell. Anyway, this is from Al Jazeera as well. This is the news story. Singapore has hanged 46-year-old Tangaraju Sopaya, who was found guilty in 2018 of trafficking more than 1 kilogram of cannabis, despite last-minute appeals for clemency from his family and activists. His family said they had been given Tangaraju's... Fuck. I'm sorry, man. I'm just going to say this guy from now on. I can't pronounce his name. I don't want to butcher it every time I fucking say it. Death certificate anti-death penalty campaigner Kirsten Han wrote on Twitter. A spokesman for the country's prison service told the AFP news agency that the sentence had been carried out at Chiang Ai maybe prison in the island's east. So, and you could see all over Twitter and Instagram and everything for the whole day, man. But because we like found out about this shit, and then for the whole day it was just all over all the social networks, being like, you know, comment on this post, send a letter to the Singapore embassy in your country, and do all this shit, and just, you know, try and stop this guy from being hanged for possession of what is reasonably a small amount of cannabis, 1 kilo. You know, and you say that as a home grower, but if you look at what's going on in the States right now and in Canada and all these places where it's legalized, 1 kilogram is nothing. You know what I mean?
Well, that monkey story they're talking about, 5 pounds, it's double,
Mm.
more than double. But
Damn. The guy was sentenced to death in 2018 for abetting the attempted trafficking of more than 1 kilogram of cannabis. A judge found he was using a phone number that was communicating with traffickers attempting to smuggle the drugs. And that's right as well, right? Because it's not like he even was in possession of the drugs at any time. He just tried to do it.
He never saw it. He never touched it. The only thing he was aware of it. Beyond that, you know, or actually, they think he was aware of it because of the phone number. It's nuts.
Stupidness, man. His family had argued the 46-year-old was not provided with adequate legal counsel and that he was denied access to a Tamil interpreter while being questioned by the police. Human Rights Watch Deputy Asia Director Phil Robertson deplored the execution and said the evidence against him was far from clear-cut since he never actually touched the marijuana in question, was questioned by police without a lawyer, and denied access to a Tamil interpreter when he asked for one. So he even asked for one and was told. It's like,
that's so bad.
Wow, man, the injustice here. It's unreal, isn't it? He must have been sleeping with the fucking copper's missus or something. You know, it's like, there's something else gone on here, man.
Man, that's fucking brutal.
Yeah,
Like,
It is nuts.
Most strictest and, like, you know, sense of the word brutal. That's fucked. And anybody that agrees with that is fucked.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's
There's Singapore, man. Like, Singapore's notorious for that. They're big on their drug. Drug
they're
stuff,
crazy
like,
with
you
it,
know,
man.
I'm
it's
pretty
like,
certain you can't even chew gum in Singapore, can't you? Like, I think they've outlawed chewing gum or something. And you can't. I look again. Don't quote me on that because I'm pretty certain they have, but I'm not 100% certain because apparently people were spitting it out on the street, and stuff, like it's like illegal to chew gum or something like that. That's like little things like that you know, we all take for granted. You know, they'd have to be one of the only countries left in the world that would hang somebody for cannabis.
Oh yeah, for hanging him, man. I mean, locking him up in prison is one thing, and that's injustice. But to end his life over a victimless crime, man, because that's essentially what it is. That nobody's going to die from having these drugs, you know. And he didn't even get hold of them, didn't distribute them to anybody, because
yeah, it's like he's been hung for conspiracy at best.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
But he
it's
could have
not-
got there and you know, seen the weed and seen how much of a large amount it was, and was like, "Oh no, I think I've made a terrible mistake, and I'm not going to do this." That could have happened. I mean, it's not likely, but that's the way the police need and the authorities need to look at it as. He's innocent until proven guilty, and he has essentially done nothing wrong but tried to go and buy some cannabis.
It's fuck unreal. Like
It
this
is.
world is so fucking disjointed. You know, at work last week I was unloading boxes of 26 kilos per box of weed. You know,
It's 26 lives, man, in Singapore.
you know, like it's what the fuck.
Mm.
It's like I don't even know what to like. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just baffling, isn't it? The fact that he was never in contact with this cannabis as well, that's fucking shocking. And when he asked for an interpreter so he could understand what the fuck was happening to him, he was told no, you can't have one.
That's just wrong.
It's wrong on
And
so
we-
many
we-
levels,
we-
man.
I mean,
kill
we're
people.
hearing about it now. Like, I mean, what it was 2018. He was, you know, how come we're only hearing about it now, just before it happened?
Loads of stuff
What's-
happened in like 2019 and 2020. It's kept all of the news spammed full of other things, you know.
True.
Yeah,
Like
so-
they don't even kill
Sure.
people for fucking raping a kid. You know,
No, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's absolutely fucking crazy, man.
for fuck's sakes, pedophiles, rapists, like murderers. They're just. But weed, no, can't have weed.
Absolutely shocking, man. This story continues here. Amnesty International described the execution as unlawful and said that proceedings violated international laws and standards. But what consequences will Singapore suffer for this? Are they going to be taken to an international court? You know, surely somebody should be prosecuted, or, you know, an example needs to be made of somebody here to make sure that Singapore understands that this is unacceptable. You can't do this kind of thing. You know, should we stop trade with them? Do you think the government now, because of what's happened here, are going to be like, this is completely wrong, we are no longer going to trade with them? No, fuck will they? They'll carry on doing exactly what they're doing. They still let
they
everybody
won't-
go
they don't
holiday
care.
there. They don't care, man. It's just one life of a cannabis user. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's just one stoner, man. They're not important, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely shocking, man. You know, and his family as well. His family were there campaigning for him the whole time. He was loved by his family. A lot of people are suffering but are still alive because of the actions of an ignorant government, man. It's absolutely shocking. It's like all stoners should avoid ever going to Singapore because of something like this. You know, you want to boycott things for silly things that happen in TV shows. I mean, not you guys, but, you know, in general, the woke mob nowadays out there will cancel anybody for anything, you know. Will Smith got fucking cancel cultured because he slapped Chris Rock. You know,
It's between Will and Chris, you know, my opinion, right there.
So should we cancel
wasn't-
Singapore for hanging a motherfucker over weed? I think so.
All right, Singapore, there you go. You canceled.
You cancelled
Yeah.
Singapore, you bunch of assholes.
As far as High on Homegrown's concerned, you're cancelled.
Yeah,
That's
you
it.
cancelled Singapore. I'm
Hey,
checking.
well-
I'm restricting that country from the list of downloads now. That's it. You're gone. Gone. No
Yeah.
more. No more.
We will never do a show live from Singapore.
Yeah,
There you go.
never.
Done. Done.
Yeah, not happening. But on a more serious note, you know, the thoughts go out to his family.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, I feel really bad for him. It's just ridiculous. It really is to have that happen. And especially, like, I mean, the more you read it, the more absurd it gets. Like, it's, you know, I could understand if he was like walking through the streets and he's, you know, throwing packs of heroin at people. Like, you'd go,
No, even
You
then,
know,
the death penalty is still too much, man.
No, I'm not saying
You
that.
know.
I'm saying I could understand the reaction to it, knowing the
mhm.
country, but just for having a phone number that
was
they, you know,
right,
that-
that they think was used to somehow or another contact these people.
yeah.
No real
Wow,
details. Somehow
wow.
used. Somehow used. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
It just says here to finish this article, an increasing number of Singaporeans have expressed concern about the use of the mandatory death penalty in drug cases, with last year's hanging of another person, prompting rare protests in the tightly controlled city-state. Ah, man. So this isn't the first guy. Why didn't we hear anything about the guy before that? And I'm sure there's guys before that as well. Damn, it's just absolutely crazy, man. It's brutal.
Mm.
Asian countries are really rough with cannabis, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure these aren't the only ones. These are just the ones that are getting some type of airtime.
Right.
You know, like ones that their family have pushed for, pushed for awareness on. Whereas there'd probably be plenty more that
Oh,
this is
gosh.
happening to that we just don't know.
Listen to this bit. Responding to an appeal by the British business tycoon Richard Branson on behalf of Tangaraju, the government said the case against him had been proved beyond all reasonable doubt, and that the kilogram of cannabis would have been, you ready for this, quotation marks, sufficient to feed the addiction of about 150 abusers for a week.
Wow.
Yeah, it reiterated the need for its hardline policies. I mean, there's hardline, and then there's this. Our approach has worked for us, and we will continue charting our own path according to what is the best interest of Singaporeans, the Ministry of Home Affairs said in its statement. But Dobby Chu, the executive coordinator of Anti-Death Penalty Asian Network, said recent executions had raised significant concerns. The other guy was executed, although his IQ suggests all intellectual disability. He noted while Kalwant Singh was hanged in July last year after cooperating with authorities, and Tangaraju's allegedly co-conspirators were caught with drugs, were jailed and given a discharge. Wow. What? But
Yeah.
so the people who were now, you see something else is going on here, man. So the people who was like his teammates essentially, who were caught in possession of the cannabis that he was supposed to buy via this phone number, were given jail and then discharged.
And he was killed.
And wow.
Yeah, that's fair. No problem with that, right? Fair as all can be. What
Sounds
the
fucking
hell,
so
man?
fair. None of these people are persons of significance in the grand scheme of drug trafficking operations in Singapore, and yet they are killed under the guise that this was necessary to protect Singapore. The United Nations say countries that retain the death penalty should use it only for most serious crimes, which does not include drug offences. On Tuesday, it urged Singapore to halt Tangaraju's execution. Singapore continues to use the death penalty for drug possession. Is a human rights outrage that makes much of the world recoil and wonder whether the image of modern civilized Singapore is just a mirage. Well, let me give you a spoiler alert. Yes, it is. Fucking hell. It's definitely, there is no civilized modern society that will kill somebody over the possession of cannabis. I mean, the death penalty is a debate upon itself. Should it be allowed? Should it not be? Is it ever right to take somebody's life? But I'm sure we can all agree that this guy should not have been killed because of possession of 1 kilogram of cannabis. Regardless, so even those who are staunch advocates for the death penalty should be able to say this wasn't fucking right, man. Wow. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. American one in the chat is same belief as me. He says he was banging the police chief's wife. You know what I'm saying? Surely
there has to be more to the story. There has to be that we're not hearing for it to have come to that. But then even with the Ministry of Home Affairs saying, "Oh, our approach has worked for us," well, fucking clearly it hasn't. Because if your approach had worked, then you wouldn't be still fucking hanging people, would you?
Nope.
Wow. Wow. It currently has a moratorium on executions. That means that it stopped executions for a while, right?
Yep.
Right. So at least there's that, but still, it's not right, man, and it will never be right. But we have one more article to cover, which we'll briefly cover, because this was going to come from Marge, but she isn't here. I did get a message back from her on Instagram. She just isn't feeling very well. She was hoping she would be feeling better by the end of the day, and she isn't. So she's just she's going to stay rested at home. So everybody, I'm sure you're all there saying, I hope you feel better soon, Marge. Hope you feel better soon.
Get well soon.
Yes.
Get well soon.
Yes.
Get well soon, feel better soon. But yeah, from Marge, she bought Ben and Jerry's co-founder starts non-profit cannabis company. This term non-profit makes me skeptical. But anyway,
Always.
yeah, Williston VT, I think that's Vermont. One of the co-founders of Ben and Jerry's has gone from ice cream to cannabis with a social mission. Ben Cohen has started Ben's Best Blunts, but it's spelled BLNS. So a non-profit cannabis line with a stated mission of helping to right the wrongs of the war on drugs. The company says its website that 80% of all of its profits will go to grants for black cannabis entrepreneurs, while the rest will be equally divided between the Vermont Racial Justice Alliance and the National Last Prisoner Project. Cool. Which is working to free people incarcerated for cannabis offenses. The war on drugs, first so named by President Richard Nixon, has targeted lower income black and brown people through over-policing, discriminatory prosecution, and discriminatory sentencing. The website states that's why, despite using pot at the same rate, black people are 4 times more likely to be arrested than whites. It's crazy. But let's finish this. Ben's Best Blunts, or B3, says it licenses its formulas, packaging, trademarks, and marketing materials to for-profit businesses that pay a royalty. After expenses are deducted, the royalties are donated to the cause. Yeah, you see, after expenses are deducted. And this is the thing with these non-profits. And I'm not going to go on a fucking rant, all right? But, you know, they claim non-profits, but that's after the expenses has been taken out, you know. And the CEO, they need to get paid a couple of million, and that's part of the expenses. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Yeah.
I want that job.
Gosh. So, heroes. Anyway, the cannabis is grown in soil using non-organic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, or fungicides, the website states. Using no non-organic. Okay, so yeah, this is all organic stuff. The B3 products include pre-rolled joints with lower levels of the psychoactive compound THC and expected to be available in coffee shops in Vermont next month.
Low dose cannabis.
Yeah, you know, rolled joints with lower levels of the psychoactive compound. It's like, you just ruined it there in the end. Yeah.
I'm okay
Nobody's
with
going to
that.
want to buy that.
As long as you tell me that before I buy it, I'm okay with it. Somebody might want it. I don't know.
Yeah. Depends what it tastes like. You know, do you taste like chocolate chip cookie dough? You know what I'm saying? Fish food.
It better.
You know what I'm saying?
They're going to do Ben and Jerry flavors like Chunky Monkey and things like that, you know?
Yeah. I just don't trust shit like this, man. I don't know. There's lots to say about this article, really. It's all a bit dodgy, but it's a start. It's a step in the right direction. He's gonna be making some money, and hopefully it does go back to the communities that need it. You know, that's everybody. You know, poke the rant bear. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna go on no rant. No, not over this story anyway. But did we have another one? No, that was everything. That's all the news that we have for this week. Yes, that's all the news articles.
That is it.
But we have the forum news, and Frenchie's film, Frenchie Dreams of Hashish, was released yesterday. So you can go to Madame Cannoli's website now and you can watch that film. You have to pay $15 for the ticket to watch it. But if you can do that, that would be fucking sweet. You know, try and get some money raised for Madame Cannoli, you know, and for Frenchie, you know, the whole organization that he was running, just as a sign of respect. He put out all of this quality information, and you know, the YouTube videos that he put out and shit. And if any of that has been of use to you, you know, just go and watch the film for $15, man. It will help Madame Cannoli out a shitload. And yeah, I don't know, I just hope that you do. And if you can't do that, we're gonna have a watch party as well, and we just need to find out when it's gonna be good for everybody, and we'll all get together and we'll watch it as a collective in the Zoom room. So if that's something that you're interested in, there's a thread over at Percy's. So just go over there and comment on Monday or Wednesday, and we'll pick one of those days when we can do a watch party, and we can all watch the Frenchie Dreams of Hashish movie. But and even if you're joining us for the watch party, if you can go out there and still pay for the movie as well, you know, it's all about Madame Cannoli raising some money here, and you're obviously getting the film out there as well. But we also want to make sure that all of her bills are paid and everything's covered for the production of the movie. So if you can, then do please go and pay for the ticket. And also, we have new grow-off starting over at Percy's, the Ali Bongo Connoisseur grow-off. As Ali Bongo, they have a whole set of seeds called the Connoisseur Collection. and it's all just, you know, high quality cannabis. So we're going to be doing a grow off for Ali Bongo. So if you're a member at Percy's and you have more than 50 posts and a diary up and running, then let us know if you're interested in taking part. There's a selection of strains to choose from. You just pick what you want from the connoisseur collection on Ali Bongo's website and let us know which one, and you'll get 5 of those beans for free with an Ali Bongo rolling tray as well, and they'll send that shit out to you very soon. So we just
some
collected
really-
name. Yeah, it looks good, right?
All right, some really nice strains in there. I was looking through it. It was really hard to make my choice.
Mm-hmm. So get involved, man. Get involved in the grow off. This is the second grow off we've had this year because we had the one from Seedsman as well. And this Ali Bongo one looks like some tasty ass weed they've got there. Yeah. Now I have to learn how to zoom, says Topopotamus. Yeah. You know, so it's easy. You just join. It's easy. It's made simple.
It's easy. You just join.
Yeah, just join.
Click the link. Yeah.
Yeah, just click here, you know.
Click that and follow the prompts.
Make sure your camera's not on. And then
Yeah, that's
interviews.
probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make
well,
sure
the
you
other
use the
thing
right
is-
name as well, or don't let you in.
Yeah. Let you make sure it's not your real name. Use your screen name.
Mm-hmm. So yes, that's all the news articles. That's the forum news and just the interviews. As I mentioned earlier, we had some epic interviews over the last couple of weeks, man. We've got some really good shit coming out to you. One with Peter Grinspoon, Brian and Marco from the Future Cannabis Project. And we had Chris Duvall, who is he's a cannabis, but a historian, but he wrote a book about the African roots of marijuana, and he had loads of fucking cool knowledge drops, man. So I'm looking
Stuff
forward
I
to
had
getting that
no
one.
clue of. Really good information.
And then this week we've got Pigeons 420 from the Mr. Grow It channel. He's coming in on Tuesday to come and chat to us about what he does. On Thursday we have Melanie Abrams, and she is the author of a book called The Joy of Cannabis. So that's very cool. Then on May 11th next week, we are speaking to the founder of Normal. Yeah, Keith Stroop or Stroup. I don't know how to pronounce that. You know what I'm like with names, everybody. I won't have to keep going on about that. And then the 11th of May, Jordan River is going to be coming back and telling us about all the latest things he's been doing. Yeah, he's been doing a lot of shit with all the classes and the cups he's been running. So we're going to find out about all of that shit. So going to look forward to speaking to Jordan again soon. And more interviews coming up as well. There's lots of lots in the pipeline that are penciled in and just getting dates and times confirmed. So lots of good shit going on. So make sure you're a patron if you want to come and see those interviews live. You can go to patreon.com/Percys Grow Room, and then you'll be able to come to a Patreon for as little as $4.20 a month. That's American dollars. Yeah, that's it really. That's the cannabis news. Are we all good? We all good? We should go into a smoke break.
Let's do it.
No more news. I'm sure there's more news. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go smoke break. Oh, look on the screen. You see, I left that there so it would remind me. We have the snail race to do. You know what I'm saying? Do you see it? Everybody see it?
I do see it.
Everybody see it? Right,
So,
yeah.
that's so professional.
Yeah. It's. I'm going to turn it off, look, and then we can make it look. I don't even know which one to click. Is it that one? Nope. Oh, because I moved it down here. That's right. Yeah, just talking to myself. No, press the wrong one again. I'm sure that was the one. Oh, god damn. Just bear with me, everybody, while I try and figure out which fucking thing to press here. God damn.
Finding the buttons.
There we go. There we go. Ha!
Yeah,
There we go. It's because it's labeled pixel art screen because I didn't change it from one of the other things that we did. And it's like, which one is it? It's got to be this one. This one? This one? No, this one? Okay. Yeah, so there it goes, everybody. I'm just going to go grab a drink. So please talk some amongst yourselves for a couple of minutes. And get a drink, and then we'll do that spin, that race at 4:19. So it ends on 4:20. You know what I'm saying? All right. Back in a second.
He's got 6 minutes.
He won't take
Or
6 minutes. He'll be
or
nervous.
five.
That the stream has crashed. Mackie, come back quick.
Yeah, we'll just go dead air for 3 minutes.
Oh, that would freak him out. Come back. Hello. Hello. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Hello.
Where'd they all go?
Could easily do that, but yeah. Payback. You know how that
Yeah.
goes.
That's why I was giving him shit about not clicking the right button. You're gonna give me shit on my stream. I'll serve it back.
Definitely could do that. No problem at all. keep dropping it back.
Oh dear. So what's been going on anyway?
No, not much, man. I've got my kids came to town this weekend to visit. It's festival season again down here, so
Oh,
they
sweet.
always come in to spend a weekend with the old folks.
Yeah, see, I always forget that you guys are because you guys are going into your summer now. Well, spring, yeah.
Yeah,
Moving into spring.
believe me, it's the same thing. Yeah, we're moving into spring. Same thing with me. It's right about the time we're getting cold. You're talking about getting hot. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
weird. Yeah.
You're like, oh, festival season. I'm like, fuck festivals in this shit. I'm not going outdoors in that. Like, I
Well,
can
this
avoid
time
it.
of year, we're just moving out of our rainy season and starting to move into our what I would consider our transition bearable time, where it's usually not too cold, not too hot for you can stay out, enjoy yourself for a while. Festivals
Yeah.
will wane down a good bit during the heat of the summer, and then we'll come back in the fall.
This is where all the critters start coming out too, isn't it? And you sitting on your back porch, surrounded by enough mosquitoes to pick you up and carry you away.
If I don't treat them on a periodic basis, yes. But now I've got a fogging system schedule I
Oh,
use.
really?
Yeah,
Right,
it's no
okay.
big deal. Backpack type fogger thing. Just walk around, spray periodically when they get bad. If it's
We
not the
don't have them.
mosquitoes, yeah. If it's not the mosquitoes, it's the gnats. Something's going to go ahead and try and bite you one way or the other. And I think I know my wife hates both of them, but I think she hates the gnats worse because she can't see them, and next thing you know, she's just got whelps everywhere. They're so
Yeah.
small.
Yeah. Yeah. See, you guys are lucky you have your fogging machines and shit. We just got to deal with dengue fever. It's just like you could just get dengue and Ross River virus, and that's it.
No, this is
don't
just
get fogging machines.
it's just like a leaf blower. It literally just drips the liquid into a leaf blower kind of thing and just aerosolizes it. And you just walk around the yard, spray that. You hit
What
it
is
right, it
What is
works.
what is it that you spray?
Pyrethrum.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose I could probably set something like that up, but
Yeah.
like
This is a commercial ag sprayer I have. It's I was looking for an answer a while back. It was one of those situations where it got really, really bad. And it's like, I got to do something about it. Did my research, found some guy that was willing to sell it to me and all that stuff like that. And it's actually turned into I've told friends and they've found bigger ones and better ones and all that stuff like that. So the market's actually developed. The internet's great. It shows people that there's a demand for something and people will create something and sell it.
Oh yeah.
Now there's companies, actually private companies that you see signage on for, like, mosquito control, call this number. They'll come like every week or every other week and do all the stuff for you.
So what, they just come around and just drop like
Or they'll drop
hot
bits
shots into still water pots and things like that, or
they'll try and make sure that there's minimal areas that will catch standing water first. If it doesn't have a reason, you eliminate it. One of those kind of situations. And if you do need it, like a rain barrel situation, you make sure you have a BT situation in there, handles it. Little things like that, though. And then you come back and then you fog periodically. If you catch the life cycle of the mosquito, right? If you break that life cycle, that's when you get control.
yeah.
You gotta kill the adults and then hatch out another week later. You got to kill that one and another week later kill that one. If you break that cycle, you won't eliminate them, but you'll knock their numbers way down.
Yeah, yeah. See, we're on rainwater, like tank water, but we don't run any BT in the tanks. But it all runs through a filter and that. But I mean, the whole point is obviously I'm not going to be chucking hot shots into a water tank that we're going to be drinking and bathing in. If it was just a big pot of standing water that I was using for plants or something, yeah, okay, I'd do it, but not for something you're going to be drinking.
No, but the places that we used to have cisterns at, what they used to do there was they put regular aluminum screen wire or copper screen wire on top of it so that the mosquitoes couldn't go down to lay the eggs.
Okay. So just like a micron mesh over the top sort of thing.
Just regular screen wire that you use on a window to keep the mosquitoes out. That kind of stuff on top of the tank to prevent the mosquitoes from laying eggs in the water. That way you won't get the larvae there. And if the larvae do hatch inside of there, they can't get out the tank.
Right. Anyway, it's 419. Somewhere it's 419.
It is 419 here.
419 here.
You better hit it then.
But yeah, here it is. We've got 1 minute for the race to take place. It's going to be a whole bunch of snails. 52 names on the list. That's all the patrons and all the YouTube members. And the winner of this snail race will get the HOHG 100 R-Spec grow light.
Nice light. Good deal.
Good luck. Get to
So-
whipping those snails.
It's should we hold the suspense until we get to the 420 now? And then just wait for it to tick. Everybody smoke. Smoke, everybody.
You got the button, man.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait patiently for that 19 to turn to a 20, and then we're gonna go. Everybody watch closely. It's gonna be one. Okay, we go. It's going. God damn! Shut up. Goddamn music. God damn it. Sorry about that, everybody. Oh, we could have that one on, right? Did they make it sound? No. Not listening to that sound. That music soundtrack shit.
SG2 pulled out there for a second. Noxie looks like he's
Noxie's
coming up.
there. Oh yeah, it probably means you're not going to win though, Noxie. That's the sad thing about these snail races. It's like, yeah,
Usually
way in the
person
lead.
front is not the winner at the end.
Yeah, it's going to be like Sincerely Pineapple all the way at the back there. It's going to be running up to the
Yeah.
front.
If you're first out of the gate, your chances dive.
Damn, it's still pretty even though here. 20 seconds left to go. What we got?
Not much, man. Look, SG2 still looks like he's got it by a nose, but not
Mhm.
by much.
Bigger
Bigger
Buds is
Buds.
way out there.
In the back, yeah, pulling
Somebody
up.
sneaking up at the bottom there, twisted. Oh, look, who's this? Who's this? Satan Soups. Oh no, who's this? Oh, it's just so difficult to tell.
Oh, look at Twisted. Really,
Who
pulled
was it?
back there. Ooh,
Is that the
Something Canadian.
Yeah, I do know the full name. I just can't see it. all there.
Something less Canadian.
Ah, I'm
Not
gonna-
me.
no, it's not you. I'm gonna have to. I'll have a quick look. Let me get that off the screen.
Canadian.
Canada.
Yeah.
Let me get that
Canada.
off there. Mindfulness. I can't even remember. I'm having a look now. Don't worry, everybody. I'm having a look now. I'll figure out who it was exactly. Bear with me for a second. It's a few clicks away. And we go here.
Got to be a YouTube member because I don't recognize that one from the forum.
Oh, it's Patreon.
Okay.
Patreon.
Who is it?
The Middle Class Canadian. There we go. The Middle Class Canadian. Class Canadian. There we go. Oh, just had myself. Sorry. There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So, get in touch if you're listening to the into the show. You know, but if not, we'll give it another week. All right, everybody.
How long can it go before someone claims
Mhm.
dislikes?
Well, no, I can message this guy because this is on Patreon. I
Great.
can't message YouTube members, which makes things difficult, you know. But on Patreon, I can message the patrons and let them know that shit's gone down. So I'll contact them, and if they don't get back to me within a week, then we'll do it again next week. And it's the last 30 days until April. Yeah, so it's the last day of April today. So tomorrow we start another competition, but that one's strictly just for patrons as well. That's for the 200 R-Spec from HLG. So be ready for that tomorrow, patrons. That's when that begins. I'll get it up on Percy so everybody can see. Anything else? Then next month it's going to be open to everybody. So be ready for that. And it's even bigger. They get bigger and bigger as we move our way through the year. Lots of lights to give away this year. So stay tuned for those.
And if Arnie Scarpa's out there, send me your address, mate, so I can send off this monkey pipe and stickers.
Yes.
I'm waiting on you, bro.
So who won? It was you, Galandor. You didn't really, mate. Just trolling. Troll. It was the man. What is he just taking the piss? Is that why you did it? Is that why you're asking me again? Let me go again. Where is it? Where was it? The Middle Class Canadian. That's who it was. Okay. Just so everybody knows. But I don't think they're a member over at Percy's. I'm not sure. But I'll message them. I will be a patron. Just get my salary. No pressure, man. I hate it when people feel pressured and shit. You really don't need to be a patron. If you can, then cool. But don't if you can't afford it. Don't leave yourself short and shit. You know. Just do if you can. And then because we do these things to give back to the patron. It's not like to encourage people to become patrons. It's just more like to reward the people who have been patrons. Yeah. I hate doing it sometimes. You know, limiting it to Patreon competitions, but you have to give back to those people who support the show in that way. You know, I just like to make sure it is open to everybody who supports, you know, over at Percy's, not just random people who show up in chat. I'm sure you know my feelings about this, everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know. Very
know what
well.
I mean? Yes. Does anyone see my socks? Says Galandil. For fuck's sake, Billy. God damn. Yeah. So are you back now, teacher? You sorted, mate?
Yeah, I was always here.
Cool, cool. You're just
I'm
being
just lurking
very
now.
quiet, just lurking, just getting super high off that mashed up rosin you've got.
Yeah, that last stuff is the strawberry gas splitter really made me think about thinking, you know.
Mm-mm. Mm.
Hey, that's when you know it's good, when you have to be thinking about things.
Yeah, it's right into your cortex and shit.
Right.
Good, it's good.
So are we all ready to talk about some cannabis history? And we also have a story which we'll get to in the listener mail as well. From oh man, it was the Vet Smoke, and Vet Smoke over on the forum. He told us a story about his experience with medical cannabis and stuff, and I thought I'd leave that for the listener mail section. It's gonna be interesting. It's a bit of a shit story. So we'll discuss some history of cannabis, and then we'll talk about that thing that happened with Vet Smoke. It's very cool. Is everybody ready?
Yeah, as ready
Sure.
as you
Sweet.
can be.
Yeah, that's it. That's a resounding yes, I think. Oh. Yeah, Mackie Rant's auto strain from Mephisto. Come on, man. I got my fingers crossed for that shit. That would be the shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, imagine from Mephisto as well. That's like the higher quality genetics right there. Go and get yourself Mackie Rants. That'd be very cool.
They're just double grape.
Sorry?
Made a whole shitload of seeds of their double grape. I did.
Oh, cool, man. Yeah, when we did the interview with him, I was talking about the Sour Crinkle Illuminauto 21. I think that was one of them was crossed with double grape.
Yeah.
Epic strain.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
tangent. We're talking about cannabis history this week. Where has cannabis come from? How long it has been used for medicine? Just random things like that. You know, a nice discussion about a brief history of cannabis. We won't go into too much detail. But I just thought it was something cool for us to discuss. Last week we spoke about AI, so just having a couple of episodes where it's not specifically a grow guide. But next week we're going to be talking about flushing cannabis plants. So a lot of controversy in that episode. You know, is flushing necessary? Should you do it? So stay tuned for that one next week. But for now, we're talking about a brief history of cannabis. So where do we even start with this shit, man? Because this is it pretty much goes back to the start of civilization.
I was
And
gonna say you start at 2800 BC. It's probably
no, that's where it's like the first written record of it being used medicinally, right? That's with the Chinese emperor
but-
guy.
Yeah, but we're talking a brief history.
We talk botanical history too, because that goes back, I think, about 3 million years to.
Yeah, we just so what we said. You seem to be going further back then, TG. Let's go from 3 million years and work our way forward, man. What do you know about 3 million years ago?
Well, again, anything I say or know is probably from either Dr. Ethan Russo and all of his research over the years. I highly recommend checking out his papers if you are interested in the deep dive into history. Specifically, there's one called The History of Cannabis and Its Preparations in Saga, Science, and Sobriquet, which is a really, really, really good one. But yeah, 3 million years, I think, is, I mean, I could be wrong, but if I am, it's millions of years ago. It evolved from hops when I think the climate kind of switched from more of a, you know, a plain or a, what was it, highland mountainous environment to down, it kind of evolved into more of a herbaceous plains type plant out of hop, because hops and cannabis are super, super closely related, right? And then, you know, millions of years passed, and then humans became humans, and then being humans as we are, we started fucking with plants, and then you get into the human history of it. But yeah, it evolved, I think, in northwestern China area about that time in the highlands there, and then kind of migrated along with the animals and the humans that used it throughout the years.
Yeah, it does seem as if a lot of it originated up in China. Which, with all the strains that I know of, I would have thought it was somewhere in India with the Himalaya and like moved out across from
Yeah,
there, but it seems to have come way back up there in China, didn't it?
that's right. Yeah, it was brought to India much later. I don't exactly know. That's why you should read these papers. But yeah, the people when they came down that area, I guess whenever people migrated there, way back then, they
Mm-hmm.
brought it with them, and then it co-evolved with them over the years and became Hindu Kush and the land races of the Kerala stuff and all the different hash making things. And it was brought to Africa. It was brought all over the place through the migration of different groups of humans over the years. Because like we all know how useful but as a plant it is, not just
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
smoking it, right? But
Yeah, it's
for
be
the
used
seeds, they
for
have tons of
yeah,
oil.
yeah,
There's
seeds for food. People eat
yeah,
the food and then they make that saturated oil out of it as well.
right.
And of
Yeah,
course,
it's
the
very
rope
valuable.
and the fibers for making clothes and
Yeah,
sails on ships, that was done a lot, as you can see for
for
it.
sure.
A lot of talk about different empires, like the British Empire, using hemp for the sails on their
Oh
ships
yeah.
and for rope as well. And that pretty much powered their whole empire for a while.
If we were to fast forward to what Bubble Hawk was saying though, to get into the human history of it, yeah, like
Well, because that's about 10,000 years ago when agriculture first started. And I've heard rumors before that agriculture, as we know it, was pretty much started because people started to enjoy alcohol and they wanted to breed the wheat or grow the wheat in a more organized fashion so they could make ale out of it, right? But maybe that isn't the case, man. Maybe it was more about cannabis, because there's records or some not records necessarily, but some evidence to say that it was started with cannabis 10,000 years ago was when agriculture and domestication first started.
it makes sense. I personally believe human beings, modern humans at least, have co-evolved with cannabis, and that's
Hmm.
that's probably why we have such an affinity to the cannabinoids and they fit in our brains like they
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
It's strange that those phytochemicals just happen to work so well,
Yeah.
and if we use something enough and it's beneficial to us, probably evolution over thousands of years will select for
Hmm.
that to be a thing that we use, right? And
Mm.
so that's kind of what I
It's
think
crazy
happened.
to think, isn't it, that we would have been evolving alongside this plant for so long, but it became like a lock and key with part of the system inside our body, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we're part of nature, right? And
Mm.
back then, that's all there was. So you kind of had to know what was good and what was bad. And cannabis, I think, is a really good one.
Yeah. Stem but it got to the 2800 BC. What are you saying about this?
Sorry, just give me a second. Oh, I just hit that fresh stuff, and
Out of
it's just sitting.
control. Shocking.
Oh, bro.
Oh my
Oof.
goodness.
Okay. So the 2800 BC, that's when it was listed in the Emperor Shen Nung's Pharmacopoeia. So he was, it was basically the alleged healing properties, and that they'd been using it in China for well before that. But that's the first time it kind of comes up in some written history, I think,
Mm-hmm.
apart from obviously all the Egyptian stuff and back then. Um, but then they were mentioned, huh?
They used to use cannabis leaves to put on wounds from war, right? People got slashed by a sword and shit. They'll put ganja leaves on it.
Yeah, yeah. So this is what they're saying is that it's therapeutic indications of cannabis being mentioned in texts from the Indian Hindus, the Assyrians, the Greeks, and Romans. All report that cannabis was being used to treat a vast array of health problems from arthritis, depression, amenorrhea, inflammation, pain, lack of appetite, asthma, and as healing balms and things like that as well. So right back then.
Yeah, that's correct.
Mhm.
But the United States government would have you try and think that it doesn't have any medicinal value. That's why it's a Schedule 1. Like,
That's exactly right.
We it's the last 50 years, you know, we figured everything out, of course. So
we know everything now.
I want to give a special shout out to the Scythians. Those guys were super stoner, old school.
Who
They
are
were
them
pretty brutal.
guys?
They're an old, like the Sumerians and the Assyrians. They're another group of people from the ancient, Fertile Crescent area.
Hmm.
They were horse people, so they're kind of like, predating the Huns and the Mongols and stuff. They drove around on horses and fucked shit up. But they fucking loved weed, and they smoked the shit out of weed and brought it wherever they want. So they probably had a big effect on introducing it to other cultures that they fucked with, and as well just bringing it everywhere. So,
Wow, man.
the Scythians, very cool people.
Crazy how far back it goes. It would be interesting to know, like, when was the first time it was really big? Because there would have been them occasional times where I'm sure somebody would have stumbled across it and tried it. Some caveman guy. But when was it like actually noted down? Like, yo, this is some good shit. You need to try this, and then it was started to be used like in the cave by numerous people at the same time. When that happened, man? It must have been millions of years ago. Must have been.
It's hard to say. When was the first use of drugs for a drug way? I think it's all by accident, and probably they watch animals get fucked up, and
Or a
like, hey,
dare, ain't it? It's like when the mushroom grows on the pile of shit, and it's like,
maybe
go and eat that mushroom, bro. I dare you.
But I do
You know
think
that's how that happened the first time for sure.
Surely, and the same with cheese. It's like, oh, that milk's gone
Sting.
bad, man. You fucking, I dare you to eat that bad milk. It stinks.
alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol. It's like that's pretty much moldy yeast water.
And they ate some fucked up fruit and stuff, felt all fucking
Yeah,
good.
I was gonna say
Mm.
that the alcohol probably most likely came from the fruit.
Yeah.
Just
But I do think like the spiritual aspect of history was greatly influenced by all like these type of drugs.
Yeah.
They didn't have the prohibition until like the church came around, and we'll get into that later on in this history thing. But up until Christianity and the Judeo-Christian stuff, there wasn't much like hindrance of using the natural things in ceremonial types of things. Communing with God and stuff was not excluded to only the priestly class and shit like that. So,
Well, it was encouraged in the early days of like the Roman Empire. One of the emperors there was like he wanted his troops to smoke it because it made his troops happy.
Mm-hmm.
when there was cults dedicated, like the Dionysus cult was all about pleasure and drugs and stuff, and the pagans, the shaman stuff early on, and
Egyptians, man. Loads of people use this shit.
basically any non-Christian cultures were into drugs.
But when we were speaking to Chris Duvall the other day, he came up with some interesting history points, and he said that cannabis wasn't in South America, like Mexico. It wasn't there until it was taken there, like by the black slaves a few hundred years ago.
He said cannabis that's how cannabis reached the Americas, was slave trade. Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Well, they said Christopher Columbus, in 1492, when he got to the New World, they took hemp seeds with them, so they could, and hemp cloth and rope and shit like that, so they could trade with the natives. But I don't think that was the first time, because they probably didn't think there were natives there, right?
No, I don't think they were expecting people to be there.
Yeah.
No, well, he wouldn't.
Maybe they were, but they're not.
But well, it's like which one is correct, because there's two different versions of it, really. It's like some people say that he sailed in that direction knowing that he was going to find something new, or he was traveling in that direction to try and find a shortcut to to India, and that's why they call it the West Indies, because
That's what I heard all along.
yeah.
That's what I've always thought too. Yeah.
So he was expecting to see people there. He was going to take hemp seeds and shit.
Yeah, as opposed to trade. Well, he didn't. I don't know. Columbus is fucked. Like he murdered a lot of First Natives when he got here. That's different podcast.
That's
maybe
right.
It is, maybe, but it is. Fuck Columbus. But anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting.
They did bring weed seeds.
Yeah,
for sure.
But that was hemp, wasn't it? It was. I don't think it was the weed we know from.
Maybe not.
From nowadays.
I don't know. Like down in the South America, like you said, when the conquistadors and the Spanish first came and brought the slaves to work on their plantations, Colombia didn't have Colombian gold and stuff. Mexico didn't have Oaxacan and stuff. But it seems like when they did bring it only took like 400 years for them to become super acclimated and like very like unique and everybody knows Colombian weed as Colombian weed, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool like that, but it's very new to the new world for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? How it just stayed over like China, India, Africa, and then it moved to the Americas like that. It's crazy, man. And it gets on so well there. It's not like
Oh,
it's had any trouble. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
like,
that's just
yeah, okay,
fine.
fuck it, I'll grow here.
Very
It'll grow
complex,
anywhere.
It's quick. The quick adapter.
Yeah, and then the hemp started to get used by everybody, really. And they're making paper out of it. And the American Declaration of Independence, is that's on hemp paper, right?
Yeah. I think like
I'm not sure about that.
I don't exactly know the historical use of the whole plant, but like I know when the church came in and became more of a force, like the Christian church at least, they put the kibosh on a lot of that type of pagan stuff, whether it was drug use or, you know, worshiping idols of different gods and stuff like that. So I think a lot of the drug part of it just got like, you know, we talk about when it was first illegal. This is probably the first illegality of it in the sense of just a blanket illegality on anything that allows you the worshiper to commune directly with God in this case or whatever, you know.
But apparently it started early in Christianity, man, where the church essentially said that using cannabis was a satanic ritual.
Right.
Yeah. That happened for like 1,000 years or something, man. And then in 1484, the Pope said smoking cannabis was sacrilegious and promoted wine as holy instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a load of shit. Fucking hell, you can't smoke that weed, just drink this wine. There's so many problems with drinking instead of smoking, you know. Just you need to go for a piss all the time, you know. You drank a lot. But I suppose back in them days it was difficult to get clean water, so encouraging drinking wine instead, where the alcoholic content has killed off any bacteria and shit. That's sorry.
I was gonna say it went the other way for Napoleon Bonaparte though.
What happened with him?
Well, he swapped alcohol for weed or hashish because they couldn't get it when they were in Egypt, because Egypt being an Islamic country, so they obviously, for whatever reason, decide they don't want the alcohol. So then Bonaparte's troops, because they couldn't get the alcohol, he gave them hashish instead because he found it to be just as good for them.
But isn't that old legend where Napoleon was nearly assassinated by somebody who was high on hash in Egypt? And that's where the word assassin comes from. It's a deviation from hashishin.
Might be. I don't know. I've never heard that.
Yeah, that's apparently something. It's a legend or a piece of cannabis lore, but I don't know how true it is.
The assassin reference. I've never heard the Bonaparte part of that, but maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Somebody Google it.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Get a history of the word assassin.
Well, I did Google your Declaration of Independence thing, and it's actually written on parchment, and the working paper was actually made from linen fibers that were made in Holland. So there you go.
So yeah, hemp.
No, it was rumored as hemp, but they said that is actually false, 100% false.
Yeah, and this is something which we also discussed with Chris the other day, didn't we, Monkey? It's like there's so many.
A lot of them.
Yeah, it's just law and like LORE law, where it's just not true. It's just a rumor that, like Queen Victoria using cannabis for her menstrual cramps is probably not true. There's a lot of claims that get made which are not true, and his next book, if he's going to write one, he's going to be about that.
Yeah, Jefferson smoking hemp out of his back porch is bullshit too. But,
Washington growing cannabis was also another falsity.
Yeah, but you know,
what you got? Bubbles got something.
I've got a fact check you here, man. So the word assassin derives from a secretive murder cult in the 11th and 12th centuries called the Hashashin, meaning hashish eaters. While much of the origin of this cult has been lost, the original leader, Hassan ben Sabah, a prominent devotee of Ismaili beliefs, was a sect of Muslims. So there you go. So
half true.
Yeah,
it just wasn't Napoleon; it was some other guy.
Yeah, had nothing to do with Napoleon. That's all.
It all comes back to Napoleon somewhere. You know.
Hey, but at least we're fact checking today.
Indeed, yeah, we don't do that very often. Bubble, what the fuck you doing? Shit.
Oh, it's
We
bro,
don't do that here. We,
sativa-
we like to have the stoner discussion where you can't go to Google and be like, "Hey, Google, can you answer this?" We need to just say random things, man, and just think that they're
Sorry,
true.
bro. It's, again, Sativa Dom Ross.
It was the right thing to do. It was definitely the right thing to do.
Well, in the
Right.
stoner conversation about the brief history of cannabis, it was the right thing to do because we're going to have a lot of people disagreeing with us if we say
Yes.
something
Yeah.
totally wrong.
You watch all the comments we're gonna get and be like, Queen Victoria did use cannabis.
This is all shit from memory, right? And like,
Mhm.
who knows whether I'm or we or whoever's speaking is remembering it exactly right? But yeah, we're stoners. What do you want?
So it's been used for a long time for medicines, man, and not just for medicine. For like the sales on the ships is a popular one. The Romans did it a lot, and the British Empire grew.
I think it was just nobody gave a fuck, right? For hundreds of years, we see all the bottles, even up until like the late 1800s and the early 1900s. You see always see those old bottles with cannabis indica, even some fucking cocaine and heroin and shit in this stuff, until they brought out the chemical pharmaceuticals, and then we can get into even more of a specific discussion in the 19th or the 20th century. That's when shit really got fucking real for weed.
So there's been patches in history in different countries where it has been made illegal at different times. Like in Egypt, it was made illegal, and I'm sure in the Middle East somewhere as well. Like in 1300s, one of the kings out there banned it for a while. But it's not been many occasions where it has been illegal. It's mainly just been used for medicine, and it's
even rope
like
and stuff, like you said, it's a
Yeah.
hell of a plant for fiber, and
yeah, it's resourceful as fuck, man.
all of that stuff. People are, when they don't have anything, you can't grow trees and shit. Like, what do you think? They probably grew a lot of hemp.
Yeah, and that was an interesting thing I read as well. Was where the word cannabis comes from the old Babylonian times, where the canna part of the word comes from the word cane. I was like, oh yeah, you can see what they mean, right? Because hemp's tall as fuck, isn't it? And nothing grows on the bottom for the first like 10 feet, whatever the fuck it is, because it's a massive plant. And then the rest of like all the leaves and all the flower, it grows right on the top of the stalk, man. So it looks like a big ass, like a bamboo cane or something. So yeah, that's where the canna part comes from, and then bis is a plant that comes in two sexes, a male and female. That's a YouTube flag. That is, you can't say that nowadays.
Male and female. Ooh.
You know what I mean? But
Or whatever it wants to be.
yeah. Plants that identify. Let's not go down this route, man. Let's not do that. What the fuck?
Yeah, I ain't fact checking that.
Yeah, fucking hell. It's 2023, y'all. Yeah. But yeah, so because I heard before that not many plants have two sexes. Who told us that? Was that Steve D'Angelo? Can anybody remember?
I can't remember who that was, but
Monoecious definitely is more common, but dioecious plants aren't super uncommon.
Yeah. That's it happens. Well, I thought it was just like a normal thing with plants, but no, man, it's not. To have a male and a female version is very interesting, man.
It's a much more like evolutionary advantageous to have both sexes on one plant, right? So that's probably why. But yeah. Anyway, where are we?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we're about 1900 now.
Yeah.
Unless you want to get back in the time machine, go look at more fucked up shit.
Yeah. I mean, again, I personally don't know a ton about that, like anything before 1900, in terms of what the humans were actually doing with the shit. I just know they definitely used it because, like, of course they did.
Yeah.
It's fucking super useful, and life sucked ass back then. So.
Yeah, that's another good point. Imagine how shit life was back then. God damn.
Fucking diseases and stuff. Anything to make your life easier.
Not even that. Like the majority of kids died. It's like a 50% chance you make it to 5 years old.
Yeah, no internet, no pizza. Come on.
Yeah, on par with that for sure, definitely.
No, but it was bad. It was a really rough time, though.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't just order things from Amazon. Damn. But yeah, anyway, well, so from the 1900s onwards, I mean, the first states to kind of legalized was in 1911, Louisiana and Mississippi, and a few other states around the Mississippi River outlawed cannabis. That's where it first started, right?
Wouldn't be surprised. That would
Uh,
be
I don't know too much
pretty
about
much.
that. I know, after 37 with Anslinger, here in
Right,
Canada, it was 1923 where they actually added it to the, it was called the Opium and Drugs Act.
yeah, I think we had something in similarly here in the UK in 1926.
Yeah, so pretty early.
But it was, yeah, it was put in the same bracket as opium, wasn't it? Because of all the opium dens in Hong Kong and shit.
Yeah.
Interesting, man.
And I wonder, like, about opium too. You get to the racial aspect of cannabis, where they went after black people and Hispanic people in America because they also used cannabis, and they wanted a way to, be able to fuck with them without it being illegal and racist. Even though they didn't really give a fuck back then, it seems like. But maybe with opium too, and the Chinese people, that's why that was a thing. Because I mean, the British were the ones who really fed that to China and caused that, right? And the opium wars and all that bullshit. But yeah, you get into fucking why were they making it illegal all of a sudden? You have pharmaceutical companies coming online and making drugs that compete with what cannabis was and opium and cocaine and all these drugs were originally used for, responsibly, of course. Probably. I don't know, maybe not. It was fucking
No,
1900s.
what apparently happened is with because alcohol was illegal and they had that whole prohibition thing in the States where alcohol was illegal. And
Right.
then when they made that shit legal again, which was like 1933, I think it was, right? That essentially put a shitload of the Drug Enforcement Agency out of business, out of jobs. All these people we got nothing to enforce now. So they
Right.
started to try and add things to it. Henry J. Aslinger, that's the guy who did it, right? When he tried to just convince the government that cannabis is bad. And
Mr. Batweed himself.
that's right. Yeah, you smoke it and you go flying around a room. There's a bat.
And I still want that weed. If anybody finds that, you contact Monkey because Monkey wants his bat weed.
Or Bubble, either of the two. I'll
Okay.
have some.
I'll go halves with you, man.
Yeah, I just want to
back
watch. I just. It's getting a bit kinky, all this talk about that shit. What the fuck? I just want to watch. God damn. Billy's going crazy out there right now. So he's getting his socks off.
He's so excited he can't even type.
That Anslinger guy, he was a total dick, though.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Listening to fuck him.
And wasn't it one of his friends as well? Was in the paper business or whatever, and hemp paper was taking over. So that was another part of the big reason why they put all the restrictions and stuff on it.
Yeah, like because of how fast hemp grows compared to trees, which in the timber industry was matches back then as well. So that caused
nylon too came about at that point, and that was a big competitor of hemp rope. So,
do you think it's like the government was that organized back then to be able to pull off something like that?
Well,
I don't know.
According to our interview last week, but he was saying that the whole hemp rope thing was pretty much a myth because by the time, he said other fibers in the world had been discovered. Jute was a big competitor, and then flax, linen ropes, and whatnot like that. But he was basically saying
maybe
that
just to the petrochemical industry in general, it was something of a threat.
Well, the Henry Ford thing about the cannabis oil was actually something that was thought about. So maybe, they were just looking at possibility. Yeah, well, maybe we ought to shut it down now.
I don't know. I mean,
he was basically saying that the reason that cannabis stayed around was for its psychoactive effect, pretty much. That's why we keep it around. That's why we keep fishing it out the cracks.
I'd agree with that. Fucking hemp stock ain't worth shit. So, but high grade, definitely worth something.
I mean, we're finding some better uses for it now. The hempcrete things, and we're finding some applications that meet our needs today.
Yeah, I think as people become more aware of the damage we're doing to the environment, and to be able to get a fast growing crop that is good with textiles, it's like hemp should never have stopped being used in the first place, regardless of the drug aspect of thing. Hemp was fucking useful, man. It could do a lot of shit.
I never really thought about that, actually. Monkey, you're completely right, I would say, because hemp as a drug is worth a fuckload, right? Back in the day, it was 8,000 a pound for good shit. Hemp as a textile or hemp, any textile. There's no textile in the world right now that's legal that's worth that much. So
yeah, you're
you
right.
can't
Yeah.
make legal industry around something that's not worth that much. But drugs you can't. So
Like what's
but now,
happening with the medical industry and the recreational industry. You know, it's
yeah,
like people start growing all the cannabis for the recreational because it don't suffer the same taxes and shit as the medical ones do. So people are just growing the medical shit now. Like essentially the
Yeah.
same thing for hemp, innit? People just growing recreational weed now rather than the medical stuff. And it's like going to be the same for hemp because if hemp isn't going to be the same amount per acre to sell as like ganja is, then they'll want to sell the ganja, right?
for sure.
See, I find that weird. I find it weird that that's the way it goes, considering they, you know, whether it's medicinal or recreational use, it still has to pass the same. Well, you'd think it would still have to pass the same regulatory restrictions. Like, if you know what I mean, like it's got to go. It's got to not have mold. It's, you know, no bugs, all that sort of shit. So, why there'd be that difference in people growing more recreational over the medical because it's cheaper. You know what I mean? I don't. Oh yeah.
Just fucked up. Are we all high?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty high.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
history thing. I mean, what else are we saying about history here?
well, there was the hemp for victory thing, right? During the war when they legalized it, so they could grow all that shit for the war effort. There's a company, Datsisara, who makes hemp bags, and they have a line completely dedicated to it. Like, they look really cool, actually. They're hemp for victory. There's a big, there's a video about it, right? That the government made and then tried to bury after the war was done.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's all interesting during the book because in the UK, mainland Britain, growing hemp was still illegal. You weren't allowed to do it. So the UK, during World War II, was buying their hemp from Italy. Yeah, crazy, right?
Italy.
Yeah, I think it must have been Italy. But there was a war with Italy, right?
Exactly. So I'm thinking, like, how do you do that? Hey, excuse me, Italy, can we buy some ammunition from you?
No, hemp.
Well, I mean,
I know it's dangerous, but it's not that dangerous.
Well, I'm kind of remembering somebody back in the day was saying something about the root of the hemp plant were actually used in making explosives.
Right.
Back in World War II, the root ball was just as valuable as the fibers from the stem.
Really?
Is this something I've got to fact check?
You probably should, because
check the Italy thing, definitely.
This was told to me by someone else, so yeah.
Which war was Mussolini in?
That was World War II, right? World War II,
yeah.
Italy. Yeah, the dictator from Italy, right?
Trading with them.
No, because they didn't last the whole war, right? They lasted just a couple of years. What happened?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe it was after then. It was like, hey, we'll come and take your shit. That deserves a Google search there. When did Italy? I'll do it.
That's what I'm looking. I'm looking at the United States military and cannabis.
Well,
right.
So I figured it'd be in there somewhere.
What do you think? Like after that, though, in the 50s,
I feel like, yeah. Sorry, really just go back there. September the 8th, 1943. On September 8th, 1943, General Dwight Eisenhower publicly announces the surrender of Italy to the Allies. So yeah, mate, maybe they did. It's still a couple of years of war after that, so it's possible. Yeah, it says here, look, and then Britain started to buy all the hemp. It doesn't really say that. I'm like, they're just gonna randomly say that, are they?
I just want to know if they were using it in explosives. That's the.
Well,
I'm not googling that.
It was actually
to build explosives.
I remember the person who told me, and I remember when I was told that. So, but I never had double checked that.
Yeah. Put on your private browser for that one.
Well, I'm in it right now. It's like hemp root used World War II, and I'm seeing if there's anything there.
To be fair, Monkey can probably fucking Google it and have no problems, you know.
Yeah,
he's
everyone else to get a.
What you doing with hemp explosives over here?
You know. God damn.
Yeah, I'm not googling it.
What about after the war? In the 50s, I feel like they didn't really give too much of a fuck. It was like, you know,
you're just rebuilding then.
Yeah, you know, and they weren't too concerned with people smoking weed. Even like the psychedelic drugs, they didn't really care until motherfucker Richard Nixon, right? That guy really turned shit up with the war on
I
drugs.
am not a crook.
Yeah,
That guy, right?
go after the hippies and stuff, and then he like they started firebombing shit, and like it was Nixon, and then Reagan, really turned it up too.
Yeah.
So that sucked, and still does suck.
And that's it. We've kind of been there for fucking 50 years now. It's only just starting
that's
to change the
American,
last 10 years.
right?
Yeah.
The rest of the world followed America. Like I remember when I read a thing about Tibet. Tibet's known for hash, and the king, in order to do business or something with America way back in like the 50s or the 60s or something, that was they had to like make weed illegal there, even though it was part of their culture for thousands of years or whatever.
But that's essentially what's going on with the UN. Is it the UN that's like to be part of the UN you have to follow this drug treaty where you can't have cannabis legalized for recreational use, and Canada's broken that rule, and lots of states in the USA are breaking that rule, and it's one of the reasons why the UK hasn't legalized yet, because they don't want to be against the UN treaty.
What has happened to Canada? Nothing.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, what they're gonna do? Fuck you.
Just do it.
And it's like,
be like, oh, I guess weed's legal now.
And the USA is like the biggest investor, if you want to call it investor, in the UN. They're like giving them 500 million a year or some crazy amount of money. It's like, who the fuck do they think they are to tell the USA what to do? Oh, fuck you, cheeky bastards.
Well, they're just a bunch of people too.
Yeah,
people make
that.
laws. People can unmake these laws, so go ahead and unmake them. Like, why are you still hanging on to this bullshit now?
Absolutely fucking crazy shit, man.
Look like assholes. That's why,
Yeah, we can't say that we were wrong after all this time.
Yeah, that's what it'll boil down to.
Mm.
Don't want to admit to the masses that they've fucking been lied to for the last 50 odd years.
Some bullshit, man.
Yeah, that's a pretty, very well, I would say a very brief overview. We didn't get into like there's the details of the Canadian legalization since 1999 and Terrence Parker and all that shit, which is another kind of like offshoot, but interesting. And then there's other countries too, but most of them followed suit with the states. But like there's a few that I've always kind of like with the scene in Holland and stuff. You get into like the history of where like Neville and the seed banks and all that kind of shit, and where strains started popping up and
man,
made what,
because that's all fucking interesting shit as well, especially for us growers to know where that really started kicking off. When Dutch Passion started back in the day, these early seed banks, man. Original Sensible, remember Original Sensible?
Yep, I still like those guys.
Yeah,
the original too, man. The seed bank with Neville and Super Sativa Seed Club with Carell and Co.
Super Sativa Seed Club, fucking old school shit, man.
Fucking skunk and the haze over to the Netherlands there, and there's history, right? Everything.
There's so much to it.
Yeah, it's very cool.
You can just keep going into more and more detail. I wonder if there's any good history books like that talk about that. I'm sure there is, isn't it? Surely, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. Is that
no
cover that kind of stuff?
Well, the only thing I can think of is Breeder Syndicate podcast, because those guys were like around for a lot of that stuff in the 90s, and so they have firsthand experience,
right,
and friends of the people who were there, as well as have old, I guess, not firsthand experience, but they're talking to people like Carell, for example, who started the seed bank or the Super Sativa Seed Club back in '85 and was there. They talked to Greg, Seattle Greg, and stuff like that from the Northern Lights crew and Pacific Northwest. And so those guys are pretty, if you're into weed nerdery and the strain history, I'd recommend that shit. But book-wise, it's not been written down. Most of the stuff's, that aspect of things is all oral and very convoluted, because everybody wants to be the breeder of chocolate Thai and stuff, right? So it's really tough to figure out what's what, but it's fun nonetheless.
Yeah, and should try and get some of those guys on the show for an interview. That would be cool.
For sure.
But we did listener mail here. Yeah, well, with the cannabis history and shit like that, just like every other grow guides we have, man, we could always go into more detail, but we'll be here forever. But if you have any questions or suggestions or anything you want to add to this, then head over to percysgrowroom.com and start a thread and let us know more about cannabis history and things you find interesting about cannabis history as well. Or drop it here in the comments, or you can go over to Discord and talk to us over there as well. So, get involved in the conversation, everybody. That'd be very cool.
Yeah, it's important because this stuff's, the older people get, and especially with the oral stuff, it gets lost and people forget, and it's then it's up to people who come around, like in our legal industry, slapping brand names on everything and just using the name recognition to make money, when the real people involved are what the fuck, right? So yeah, it's important, I think, to know what actually went down and stuff, and where we came from and how we got here. So yeah.
Man. So with the quick listener mail here, we have a quick question from Noxy there, who just dropped it in the chat. It says, how big do the squares on a scrog need to be? About 3.5 centimeters, I like. I think that's about right. Yeah, and then just a grid of that 3.5 centimeters. Sometimes you see these nets for like in a 4x4, and it's broken up into 9 sections. It's like 3x3. That's nowhere near enough. You need a fuckload of fucking squares, man. The more the better, but you want your stems to be able to comfortably fit through them at the same time. So 3.5 centimeters is the one I have, and it's an epic scrog. But you can, maybe double that, like 7 centimeters. But the more you have to each square, then the less you're going to have overall, which will make it more difficult to get a proper, nice, even canopy. So 3.5 centimeters is good in my opinion. What do you think, Bob? Well, you do some scrubbing, right?
Yeah, I think the smaller the better, without going too small. As long as about that, as you said, about that 3.5's not bad. That's a good size to be able to let as you're bending it over, let the little nodes pop up and stuff. So yeah, I'd say that's about right. But you use a metal one, don't you?
Yeah, my scrog is badass, man. Fucking love my scrog, and I haven't done a scrog grow for so fucking long, and I'm so desperate to do one, man. I would love to fire up the whole fucking scrog grow again. It just takes so long, man. One day we can dream. But if anybody wants to see a scrog grow that I did, just go to YouTube and search for Jack Herrer Grow Diary from Percys Grow Room, and you'll find that on the YouTube channel. It's a badass diary, man. You start to finish. It's got that Baz Luhrmann, everybody is free to wear sunscreen, that tune in the background, and it's all like goes to that. Really fucking good, man. There's a good video of that shoots. So go and check that out, and you'll see the scrog, one of the scrogs that I did. That was an epic grow.
I was gonna say, those bigger squared things like that usually come with your grow tent, I would say those are almost just for like supporting plants, not so much weaving them
good
through.
point.
So, and I never use mine anyway. Maybe if you're growing big ass baseball bats, that would help. But yeah.
Juglin says 3.5 centimeters sounds small. No sun leaves. Operating with that. Them sun leaves, they fold. You just squeeze them a little bit. They'll go through that, no problem. You know what I mean, right? So don't fold it too much so it cracks. You don't want that, but you can squish them up a little bit, and they're flexible, so you'll be able to squeeze them through without damaging them. You'd be surprised what they can be dragged through, man. Well, yeah.
Right. Ease up, John.
What's John saying?
Read the. I'm not reading it.
That's shocking, John. Behave yourself, John. It's out of control.
Oh no.
Galando. You're gonna have to edit that out. Shit, goddamn. 3.5 is huge. At least I got all my girlfriends convinced on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got Mind Toker's follow up down there.
3 centimeters of fury. God damn. Yeah, anyway. So I hope that answers your question there, Noxy. All right, but we have this one post which was from Vet Smoke, wasn't it? Vet Smoke. He, last week on the cannabis news, we covered how fucking shit things are with the cannabis market here in the UK. And how you can't go to the NHS for psychological help if you're a cannabis user. They pretty much won't treat you. And even legal medical cannabis users in the UK have still been reported to social services and suffered consequences for using cannabis as medicine legally. Anyway, Vet Smoke here, he said he heard that episode and he had a story which is related to that to some extent. So I'll read through this as quickly as I can. Hi all. Hi, VetSmoke. Just caught up on episode 63 on the cannabis news. Gutted I was too busy to share my story before the podcast, but wanted to share my experience with you. Hope this is okay. And I've asked him as well. I haven't just decided to read this out. I've asked him if it was okay, and he said it was cool for me to read this. And you can obviously go over to percysgrowroom.com and read the thread for yourself, and even ask VetSmoke some questions about what happened to him if you wanted to as well. But anyway, it'll be long and a bit ranty and maybe a few divisions off track, but here goes. That's how we roll here. This story should fit in very nicely, VetSmoke. A few weeks into the first COVID lockdown, that's right, everybody. I said it. He put C word,
Oh,
but I decided
jeez.
I will say COVID. So yes, smoke.
stop
few-
saying it.
A few weeks into the first lockdown, me and the missus were getting some calls from an unknown number. Obviously, ignored it because that's what you do. But eventually, they left a voicemail for my missus. It was social services and they needed to speak with us urgently. Just before lockdown, I had a couple of friends over one weekend and we'd been having a private discussion in my back garden about alternative medicines to assist with mental health issues. Myself and my best friend from the military days discussing how psilocybin and cannabis had played a big part in helping us manage our issues, and it turned out that they overheard and decided to report me, backstabbing pricks. The social worker first asked my wife about my drug misuse, and she was honest with them, telling them how it was never around the kids, etc., etc., and how she had seen it. Sorry, if I make this screen bigger. There we go. Where are we? Uh-oh. Oh, the only second. Hold on, everybody. Who the fuck was I? Because I made the screen bigger and now everything's in a different place, etc., etc., and how she had seen how much it had helped me. Then they called me and asked me all the same questions. They informed me that they would have to carry out an investigation and contact our kids' school, etc. Also, that it would be automatically referred to the local drug rehabilitation organization and would have to complete a course with them. Now, remember, everybody, this is just over a little bit of cannabis, right? Maybe some psilocybin, but he was talking with his friend, and his social services are cool because the conversation was overheard. It's some fucked up shit, right? So now my anxiety is through the fucking roof, and I'm freaking out that my home is going to be invaded, my kids could be taken away, and God knows what else. A few days later, I had a call from someone at the rehab place whilst at work, so I had to find somewhere to hide for the conversation. To be fair, she was very friendly, and we had a good discussion. I explained the difficulties I had and that it helped me complete 2 rounds of cognitive behavioural therapy through the NHS-funded organisation. She then told me that whilst I was still using cannabis, I would no longer have access to any of those services. You know, because you can't use cannabis and ask for medicine. Are you crazy? She then explained what the rehab program was about and when it took place, how long, etc. She then asked how much cannabis I used, to which I replied 3 to 5 joints. She asks at what time of day I had them, like 1 in the morning, 1 at lunch, etc. To which I replied, no, I have 3 to 5 a week, as and when I feel it would help me. At this point, she laughed and said, yeah, we don't need to see you, informed me she would report back to the social services, and she had no concerns about drug abuse. Someone that applied common sense. Amazing. We then had a couple of weeks waiting very anxiously as social services carried out the remainder of their investigation. It's awful. Even though we know we're good parents, our kids are healthy, happy, doing well at school, loved and supported, you still feel like shit and worry about what might happen. My wife suffers severe anxiety too, so all this during the pandemic was a recipe for us struggling to keep on top of our illness. It was a horrendous. And there's more here. We'll get into that in a bit, but fucking hell. Well, what's going on with this shit, man? Dude, I mean, the parents listening to this show, you can understand what position they're in here, man. Imagine the social services are investigating you because of your drug use. Well, bigger quotation mark drug use, you know, because of your cannabis use. And even if you are, you know, raising your kids properly and they're respectful and they're getting good school grades, you know, you could still stand a chance of fucking losing them here because of this. It's ridiculous, man, to put somebody under that pressure just for using cannabis for medical purposes. Right? Everybody agrees, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Just wondering if you all have anything to add here so far.
No, I mean, just being put in a shit situation like that from a neighbor who really had no business jumping the gun in it. I mean, good
Mhm.
Lord, talk to the man before you go call the police.
Whatever happened? What happened to knowing your fucking neighbors? Like,
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Like I
yeah,
say,
you
this
used
is
to,
why I wouldn't smoke outside. I wouldn't let my neighbours find out that I was a smoker. You just can't trust people, man. They just want to stab you in the fucking back. That's just how it goes.
Nuts. Hmm.
He says, thankfully, after a few weeks, Social got in touch and the investigation was complete with no further action necessary. A huge relief, but we're on their records now for having a private conversation in my own garden about something that can be legally prescribed in the UK. It's utter horseshit. The denial of access to mental health services because of cannabis use is disgusting. The whole system is a joke, though. I've told you all this before, everybody, just saying. The NHS is signed up to the Armed Forces Covenant, which obliges them to care for veterans and, when possible, prioritise treatment of veterans. But it's just a symbol to put on buildings and email footers so it looks like they're supporting veterans. When I did my CBT courses, they identified I was suffering with low mood, depression, anxiety, and almost certainly PTSD. But I was told they didn't have the expertise to help with my service-related PTSD, and I would have to go to someone like Combat Stress. That must be an organization who deals with PTSD and veterans specifically.
yeah, I
So,
like that they're
so
making it available for veterans.
unless they smoke cannabis. So we rely on
Oh,
charities to
my
care
bad.
for veterans. That is the reality of it. If it wasn't for the charitable organisations, veterans would have been even more fucked than they are now. We don't have a VA or anything like that. Once you're out of it, that's it. They don't give a shit about you. Even the NHS don't know what to do with us and palm us off to charities. We're nearly done here now. But I had optic neuritis after leaving the service, so I had MRIs, etc. The neurology department to check back to see if I had MS. Thankfully, they all come back clear. When I began having episodes of racing, heart palpitations, chest tightness, cold, sweaty hands, and nothing showed up on the ECGs and the blood tests, so they sent me back to neurology. And the doctor there told me it was anxiety, prescribed me propranolol, I don't know, and told me to practice mindfulness. That's it. They had no follow up with my GP, and in 3 years since, absolutely nothing. Now let's touch on the legal prescriptions. I'm too scared to register with a clinic in case I end up with social services on my case again. Plus, they say you need to have tried 2 prescription medications that haven't worked. I have always refused SSRIs because I know what they do to people. Awful drugs. Yes, they do benefit some people, but most of them are just stuck on them for life with awful side effects if a dose is missed, etc. But I know cannabis works for me, and I don't have to use it daily. But if I want a prescription, I'll have to take several courses and these other drugs poisons first. Ridiculous. Anyway, if you managed to read all of that, well done. I hope it made some sense. So yes, thank you for sharing that story with us there, Vet Smoke, man. It's a load of shit, and we can understand your frustration and the pain that you have to go through for just wanting to use cannabis, man.
So is that so that's in the UK, obviously,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
going on with the NHS
Mhm.
and that, because that's where I got a little confused. And again, I'm been smoking weed all morning and it's only 8 o'clock, so bear with me. But over in the States, is it don't they help veterans? Do veterans not have access to medicinal cannabis?
Not by the VA, because the Veterans Administration is a federal agency and the federal government. It's not legal. Now, there are some state
Wow.
groups of veterans that try to help make it accessible.
Because you only
Some
that, which beggars belief to me, because I'm pretty certain that they actually prioritize veterans access to it at the moment here.
It should be, in my opinion, prioritized. I'll go on record saying if a veteran needs cannabis, it should be provided by the government as much as they need. It's not that expensive to do.
Yeah.
It's
If
just
if it
shocking
helps them
how
get through the day, damn it, give it to them.
this seems to go across all of our countries, man. How veterans are just not cared for. And that is
Yeah.
an absolute fucking joke, man. And the government need to be ashamed of themselves for allowing the veterans. Like, there's so many homeless veterans, man. And it's just, why? Well, when these people have gone and put their fucking life on the lines for the country, for the country these motherfuckers are stealing from. You know what I mean? But let the veterans go out on the fucking streets. It's disgusting, man. It's disgusting how our MPs here in the UK can go and have breakfast for $2,000 and put it on their fucking expenses, but they can't afford to put a fucking veteran in a house.
Yeah.
It's fast,
Yeah.
man.
Or give them proper medical care.
It's just disgusting. Disgusting. And it frustrates me a lot, man. It's even bigger injustice than the whole illegal cannabis thing, man. The way they treat the veterans after they've went and put their life, and seeing their mates die and shit. It's just there's so much trauma in that shit, man.
Yeah. Also, that you can go down the shops and get yourself a fucking mocha frappe and not have to worry because they've gone and done that for you, and then they come back and get treated like shit.
Yeah.
It's
Shameful.
just
Shameful. And it's not us people down here that want it to be that way. It's the governments, man. And they try and say, "Oh, sorry, we don't have the money. We can't afford it. But let's send a couple of billion over here to this country in the north of Europe. We won't mention any names, and
or give themselves
they need
multiple
help.
Fucking pay rise.
Give themselves multiple pay. The expenses. Boris Johnson paying for a high-end solicitor so he doesn't have to pay for it himself for all the lying he did when he was in power. It's just all so fucked up, man. It's like this must be a simulation. It must be, because real world wouldn't operate like this. Surely.
Is that how your government works? If they're an MP and they get sued, they can use government funds.
But this is how the Tory government works. Yeah.
Right. No, I was just because it's the same here, man. It's exactly the
it's
same.
like, how is that allowed?
Yeah, one of them, one MP recently decided to take out a massive court case against the Australian government because they stopped one of his excavation jobs or something that was worth like billions. So he's like suing the government for billions, and all of these lawyers and everything are funded by the government because he's an MP.
Well, funded by the taxpayer. Yeah. There's no such thing as government money. It's all taxpayer money. Crooked motherfuckers,
man. There we go. Shared rant.
Yeah, but it's a very shitty thing when veterans have to feel like this, man. Vet Smoke should be going out there and smoking as much weed as he fucking needs to get over his PTSD that he suffered for fighting for this fucking country and other countries. It should be a privilege. It must piss him off so much, man. God damn. When I was younger, I considered joining the army, and I'm like glad I didn't, man. Because you can't smoke weed, for one. That was my big thing. I discovered cannabis before I was old enough to go and sign up for the army, and I was like, if I join the army, I can't smoke weed. It's like, yeah, you're not allowed to do it. It's like, okay, I'm not joining.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What do you mean I can't smoke weed? Fuck that.
Fuck that. Yeah, I'm staying. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here. I can smoke weed here. It just came, when that was the realization, it also caused the realization of, oh, hold on, I'll be a part of a gear in the well-oiled machine that is the British Army. So it's like, no, I don't know, man. I just don't think I could ever do that. I'm an individual. I like to do my thing. I couldn't do that, man. So big shout out to all those people out there who can and have done that, because you all deserve a lot of respect, man. And it can't be an easy fucking job, to say the least. So they should come back and smoke weed if they want. You know what I'm saying? And you do whatever fucking drug you want, man. Fuck them. The cheeky bastards. Shit.
And and the neighbor could have been sitting over there, and these guys could have been sitting there and talking about pounding beer after beer after beer, and the neighbor would have said a damn thing, but they smoked a couple of joints, and this happens.
Yeah. What an arsehole neighbor as well. Do that to a veteran. God damn.
Society, man. Go figure.
Anyway, we got one more here from Phil Meatballs. He said, almost being a caveman, I found myself grunting happily at a beautiful, healthy cannabis plant. Do you think my long-lost brothers felt the same as I do about the cannabis plant and sat together and painted cave drawings, grunted about them? I would say so, man.
Yeah. It's probably why they started doing cave paintings in the first place.
Exactly.
Fucking hell, yeah.
Right cannabis. Man, they ought to try painting now.
I'm saying.
Sitting there high as fuck, twiddling their thumbs. Oh, yeah. Start make some marks on the wall.
Mhm. You know, it's like when they come back from a hunt and they've got a big boar or something, they're all happy and shit. But when they come back, it's like autumn time and they find a shitload of ganja plants. Like,
Get out the paints now. We're gonna paint today.
You know what I mean? Shit. Come on, Chris. Gonna get one of them plants on the fire, bro. Damn.
Just hotbox in the cave.
You're right.
Exactly, man. Roll the rock in front of the door. We're gonna do this.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Damn, a prehistoric fucking smokehouse. You got a fucking a skin curtain over the whole of the cave. You know?
Get the mammoth tusk long. We're gonna have it tonight, man.
Yeah, man. I would think
about
they
a party?
did. I think that's fair to say, don't you think? You know, I think
Yeah,
all the
of
cavemen
course.
were probably bunning something. There was a lot of cavemen, right?
Yeah, well, I'm assuming so.
Yeah, gotta assume some of them be smoking a lot of weed.
Surely.
Sure. Somebody would have to.
Yeah. No.
I would have if I was a caveman. The shit out of it.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
feel like caveman is a bit of a fucking generalization of just people who lived in, you know,
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
funny
just
to talk
hunter
about it,
gatherers.
though.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fucking hilarious, but you know,
Bubble Hot Caveman's got his Stone Age press, his squishing
Caveman.
rosin out, piling rocks on top of hot rocks on top of buds,
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, when
that's
did
it,
we
just
become not
smashing
cavemen?
rosin out of it.
Postmen now or something? That's funny.
Yeah, what would you call? Yeah, what would you call them now besides humans?
I've never
They're the
really
same shit.
thought about, you know, do people actually think everyone at a certain point in history lived in caves?
Of
It's
course.
impossible.
I
We don't
saw it
have
on cartoons back in the day.
Yeah, I know, right?
Flintstones, yeah.
just dinosaurs. It's funny as fuck to me actually
Mhm.
thinking about it. But maybe it's the weed. Probably.
Yeah, what about people living in huts? You call them hutmans? Like,
Oh,
Yeah,
I
or
know they
in
didn't
plains
live
when
in
you
caves here.
didn't have caves. What do you have there? Just men?
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Fucking there you go. Caveman. That's fucked.
Yeah, so that's about all the questions we have there. I mean, we have one from Billy, and then Sir Grozelot said, "Lost my kids when I only had two to CPS." That's what's that? I think that's in the States. It says there, monkey. CPS, Child Protection Services, probably,
There
right?
you go. Yeah, yes.
And had to fight 2 years all the way to the Supreme Court, where we won unanimously, and $25,000 later. Wow.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy out there, man. This is it, and this is why, especially when you have kids, you have to be careful with what you do. You know how far you get involved with activism and things like that, because it's not just you who's at risk; it's your kids as well, man. It's fucking shit. You know, and it's like you'd be willing to do prison time if you had to and stuff, but it's when your kids are gonna suffer because of your actions. It's something that you never want to see take place.
Yeah. The whole other kettle of fish, that.
Yeah, it's some bullshit, man.
I mean, I just feel bad for me dogs because I don't have kids. I'd be like, that poor bastard's never going to see me again.
Yeah. The dogs don't know. You know, they'll be thinking, "Oh shit, did I do
Yeah.
something wrong?"
Yeah, that's it.
Shit,
The
man.
lab probably wouldn't care as long as someone's giving it food.
Yeah, food. As long as it's got food. Oh
Yeah.
man, I was screwing the other day. You know, like last week, was it? I think it might have just been last week when I was saying to you guys, my dog gone and lost another fucking frisbee in the river because he likes to take his frisbee in the river, and I was like, "I'm not buying him another frisbee." Well, I fucking bought him another frisbee because I'm a
The
soft
quote-unquote
bastard.
floating frisbees, right?
Yeah, that's right, floating frisbees. And then I
They
took
sink
him.
like rocks.
I took him to this place, and I threw the frisbee, and he's collected it. You know, we played a few times, and then I went to look at my other dog, turned around, I couldn't see the bigger dog with the frisbee. I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, he's gone in the water, hasn't he?" So I've gone closer to the water, and he's there just drinking out of the water. Oh my god, where's the fucking frisbee? And he dropped the frisbee in the water again. So then I'm there for like 20 minutes, like, "Find the fucking frisbee, man. Find the fucking frisbee." And he's there fucking digging around. He's just trying to find this frisbee that's underwater, and it's lost, man. It's too late. It's gone. You know, and so I'm raging because I've spent another £12 on another frisbee, which he's had for a couple of days. But my daughter, she went into the fucking river after I've been searching for 20 minutes, and then she found it, and it was like, yay, got his frisbee back. Here you go, dog. Take a frisbee. Let's all go get ice cream. You know, so then we're all going off to get ice cream at this place. It was extortionate rates, by the way. I'm just saying, not saying where it is, but fucking hell, you robbing bastards. But as I'm on the way there, the dogs was staying with the wife. It was like I watched the dogs for a couple of minutes while I go get ice cream, and then I'm walking towards the ice cream place. Halfway there, I turn around and I see the dog has got the frisbee in his mouth, and he's walking into the fucking lake, man, and he's just dropped it like halfway through the fucking lake, just drops it. It's like, oh, there's no getting that back. You know, at the river it's possible, but in the lake, I was raging, man. Like, you fucking prick, get out of the water. People in the park looking at me like I'm a fucking nutcase. It's like, oh shit. God,
you need to start making origami ones, man.
Man.
Ones out of cardboard, so you can throw them when he fucks them up. Then you just make another one.
Fucking.
You're gonna learn to bring snorkel and swim fins with you next time.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it, man. I'm not buying him any more frisbees. He can have cheap fucking tennis balls. That's what he can have. And I took him for a walk today and threw his cheap tennis ball for him, and he looks at me like, "Where's my frisbee?" It's crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, what's this guy going on about in the chat there? But yeah, we won't discuss that right now.
What?
This Aaron H. You see what he's saying in the chat there? He's saying I'm a grass maybe. I don't know. I don't know why he would think that, and I don't know why Cam Cush would think that. But I'm sure that's a story which we can talk about another time. But yeah, what's happened with Cam Cush?
No, I've got no idea what that's about.
Yeah, that's very strange. But you know, let us know. Where, I don't know. Come and have a discussion, man. I want to know what's going on here. But anyway, is that everything? We got all the questions out of the way, and we covered the brief history of cannabis. Is there anything else here? TG? Anything to add? We good?
Well, good. Just rolling some J's, some 1-2 ounce J's or whatever.
The monster J's.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty good. You know.
Sweet. The 18-gram J's.
Fuck.
Nice.
Yeah, not quite. Point.
Right. So there we go. Let's go on to the outro then. Yeah, we good?
Yes.
Let's do it. There we go, everybody. That was this week's High and Homegrown there with the cannabis news and events there and the grow guides and shit. So, yes, it's been a good show. Unfortunately, Marge couldn't make it because she's not very well. But, you know, I'm sure she'll be better next week. And we'll be discussing flushing next week. Don't forget, if you have any news stories that you'd like us to cover on next week's show, let us know over at the forum or the Discord or Instagram or, you know, anywhere where we are. You can find us by just searching for High and Homegrown and you can send us a message. But, yeah, that's it, I think, right? I think that's it.
I think so.
Yeah, there's not really much more to add after that. Don't forget about the interviews that we have this week. Let's just go and check the calendar again. So it's Pigeons 420 at 9 o'clock on Tuesday and Melanie Abrams at 9 o'clock on Thursday. That's 9 o'clock UK time. That's 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific, I think, right? What time is that in Australia, Bubble? you got a few fucking like normal show time.
Normal show time is 6 a.m. in Sydney time on the East Coast.
Wow.
So you'd be 2 hours earlier in WA, and then I think like half an hour or an hour and a half earlier in South Australia. Depends. I can't remember exactly how it works outside of the daylight savings.
Yeah, so whatever time this show started for you is the time which the interviews are. And of course you have to be a patron to come and see those interviews as well. So yeah, become a patron if you can. But if not, these interviews do get released to everybody anyway. Eventually, just need to be edited up and sent out on Wednesdays. So keep her out for that. I think this week we're going to send out the interview with Dr. Peter Grinspoon.
That was a good one.
He's eager to see that one. So we'll get that out there for him. So it was a good interview, man. It's good to chat to him. It's been a while.
Learn all kind of stuff with that man every time he gets in chat with us.
Cool. But I think that's it, right? I think so. So yes, everybody hit that like button if you didn't do that already. That would be appreciated, of course. But no pressure. Share if you can, of course, but no pressure. And all of that kind of shit. But you know how it is by now. You've been here many times. Who won the fucking light again? The middle class Canadian guy. Yeah, so
Yes.
I'll get in touch with that guy on Instagram. Not Instagram. Patreon.
He is also a
Patreon.
Percy's member.
Oh right, is that his name? Is that the handle he uses?
It is. He is a Percy's member. He's never posted, but he is a Percy's member.
Cool. Cool.
So we have multiple ways to find him, and we'll do everything we can.
Yeah, man. Sweet. So it should be good. And if not, we'll let you know what happens next week. You know how we go. Yes. Hashtag free Marge, everybody. Hashtag free Marge.
Yeah.
Bring back Marge.
Sweet. Yeah, hopefully Marge will be back next week. But yeah, that's it. I think I'll just activate these tunes here. Let me make sure I've got the right thing going on. There we go. Yeah, so been a pleasure, everybody. And good to see you, TG. Thanks for coming back, man. Thanks for, a couple of weeks off and shit. It's good to have you back.
I've been doing renos. We ripped up fucking half our floor, so
Oof.
Always a
weekends.
fun job.
Yeah, it's not so bad. We got some pretty retro linoleum underneath, I've found, but
Oh, wow.
But you had to rip that up as well.
no, we're just doing laminate, so we're just putting it over top, which is easier,
Sweet.
but a lot of work.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Right then.
Yeah.
Nice, everybody. We'll catch you on Tuesday, hopefully. Maybe Thursday. But if not, we'll be back on Sunday next week to talk about flushing.
Yes, we
See you
will.
then. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Everybody say bye-bye.
Bye. See you later, beer.
Please need to take it.
Take it.